In 1843, roughly 400,000 American settlers lived scattered across the Ohio wilderness. Nearly half of their children would never see their 10th birthday. 1 in 5 families would lose at least one member to the cold, to disease, to accidents that today would barely warrant a bandage. Christmas on this frontier was not about gifts wrapped in pretty paper or trees sparkling with store-bought ornaments. It was about surviving long enough to see another spring. This is the story of one family on one Christmas Eve, in a world where waking up in the morning was never a guarantee. If these help you sleep, hit subscribe, and drop where you're listening from in the comments. I always check those. So we're heading back to the American frontier. Christmas Eve, 1843, rural Ohio. But first, get comfortable. I mean it. Fix those pillows. Pull up your blanket. Because where we're going, you're going to want to be as warm as possible. Trust me on this one. Your eyes open to darkness. Not the comfortable darkness of your bedroom right now, with the soft glow of a phone charger in the corner or streetlights seeping through the blinds. This is a different kind of dark. The kind that feels thick, the kind that presses against your face like cold hands. You're 11 years old, your name is Eliza McAdams, and the first thing you notice before anything else is the cold. It hits you like a wall. Your breath hangs in the air, a pale ghost that disappears almost as soon as it forms. The tip of your nose is numb. Your toes are blocks of ice even though you're wearing thick woolen socks that your mother knitted last winter. Not like the cozy socks you might have on right now. These are rough, scratchy things that smell faintly of sheep and wood smoke. You're lying on a straw mattress that crackles every time you move. It's stuffed inside a rough linen cover that your grandmother made before she died of fever 3 winters ago. The straw pokes through the fabric in places. One piece has been jabbing your hip all night. But you've learned not to complain about these things. On the frontier, a bed is a bed. Some families sleep on dirt floors with nothing but furs between them and the frozen ground. Next to you, your little sister Martha is breathing slow and steady. She's 5 years old and she kicks in her sleep. Her small foot is pressed against your calf, and you can feel the warmth radiating from her body. On your other side, your 8-year-old brother Samuel is curled into a tight ball, his back pressed against yours. The 3 of you share this narrow bed, tucked together like puppies in a pile. It's the only way to stay warm when the fire burns down to embers in the night. Above you, the roof of the cabin creaks and groans under the weight of last night's snow. The sound is familiar, almost comforting. It means the cabin is still standing. It means you made it through another night. Here's the thing about frontier cabins that nobody tells you. They're tiny, like ridiculously tiny. Yours is about 16 feet by 18 feet, which is roughly the size of a modern parking space for 2 cars. 7 people live in this space. You, your 2 sisters, your 2 brothers, your mother, and your father. There's no privacy. There are no separate rooms. When someone snores or coughs or cries out in a nightmare, everyone hears it. The walls are made of rough-hewn logs, the spaces between them stuffed with a mixture of mud, moss, and rags. Even so, the wind finds its way through. You can hear it now, whistling high and thin through a gap somewhere near the window. The window itself is small, just a foot square, covered with oiled paper instead of glass because glass is expensive and fragile, and there's no one within 50 miles who knows how to replace it if it breaks. You hear movement from across the cabin, the soft rustle of blankets, the creak of the bed frame where your parents sleep, then your father's voice, low and rough with sleep. "Eliza, you awake?" You push yourself up on one elbow, careful not to wake Martha or Samuel. Yes, Pa. Fire's nearly out. Need you to tend it while I go check on the animals. This is your job. It has been your job since you turned 9. Every morning before the sun comes up, you're the one who coaxes the dying fire back to life. Your father taught you how to do it properly, how to blow on the coals until they glow orange, how to add kindling slowly, building up to larger pieces of wood, how to keep the flame alive without letting it burn too hot or too fast. You swing your legs over the side of the bed, and the cold hits you all over again. Your bare feet touch the dirt floor, and you can feel the frost that's formed overnight. The earth is frozen solid, hard as stone. Some mornings there's actually ice on the floor, thin sheets of it that crack under your feet. You grab the shawl hanging from the bedpost and wrap it around your shoulders. It's grey wool, threadbare in places, patched in others. Your mother made it from yarn she spun herself, from wool sheared off the sheep that your father raises. Nothing on the frontier is bought if it can be made. Nothing is thrown away if it can be fixed. The fire in the hearth has burned down to a few glowing embers buried under a pile of ash. You kneel in front of it, feeling the faint warmth against your face. It's not much, but after the bitter cold of the cabin, it feels like standing next to the sun. You know what you're doing. You've done this hundreds of times. First, you use the iron poker to carefully push aside the ash, exposing the hottest coals. Then you lean in close and blow, slow and steady, watching the orange glow brighten to red. A few sparks fly up. You add a handful of dried grass and small twigs, the kindling you gathered yesterday from the woods behind the cabin. The grass catches almost immediately, curling and blackening before bursting into tiny flames. Now comes the tricky part. You can't add too much too fast or you'll smother the fire. You can't add too little or it'll burn out before it catches the larger wood. You've seen your mother do this 1,000 times. Her movement's quick and confident. You're still learning. Some mornings the fire goes out and you have to start over with the flint and steel, which is harder than it sounds. Way harder. Today, though, the fire cooperates. The small flames lick at the kindling, growing stronger. You add a few larger twigs, then a split piece of oak. The wood catches, and soon there's a proper fire burning in the hearth, crackling and popping as the sap heats up. Your mother appears beside you, silent as a ghost. She's been up for a while, you realise. Her hair is already pinned back under her cap and she's wearing her work dress, the brown one that's patched at both elbows. "Good girl," she says softly, squeezing your shoulder. "That's a fine fire." Your mother's name is Sarah. She came over from Ireland when she was just a little older than you are now, 15 years old and alone except for an older brother who died of ship fever before they even reached New York. She doesn't talk about it much, but sometimes, especially around Christmas, she tells stories about the old country, about the green hills and the stone cottages, and the way the whole village would gather on Christmas Eve to sing songs in languages you don't understand. "Is today Christmas Eve, Ma?" you ask, even though you already know the answer. You've been counting the days for weeks. She smiles, and for a moment her tired face looks young again. "It is. Christmas Eve. Your father wants to make it special this year." Special. On the frontier, special means different things than it does in the cities back east. It doesn't mean expensive gifts or elaborate decorations. It means maybe having a little extra sugar for the Christmas pudding. It means your father staying home from hunting to spend the day with the family. It means the candle in the window, the one tradition your mother brought all the way from Ireland. The door opens, letting in a blast of cold air that makes the fire flicker. Your father stomps in, shaking snow off his boots. Benjamin McAdams is a big man, broad-shouldered and strong from years of chopping wood and clearing land and wrestling the wilderness into something resembling a farm. His beard is dusted with ice crystals, and his cheeks are red from the cold. "Snow's coming," he announces, shutting the door behind him. "I can feel it. We'll need to bank the cabin before noon." Snowbanking. You know what that means. It's hard work, piling snow against the walls of the cabin to insulate it against the wind. But there's something satisfying about it too. The whole family working together, laughing and throwing snowballs when your parents aren't looking, knowing that every shovelful of snow is another layer of protection against the brutal cold. "Animals all right?" your mother asks. Your father nods. "Cow's fine. Chickens are huddled up in the corner of the coop. The pig's ornery as usual." He stamps his feet again, trying to get feeling back into his toes. "Saw wolf tracks down by the creek." Your stomach tightens. Wolves. They've been coming closer this winter, driven by hunger and desperation. Just last month, the Hendersons lost 3 sheep to a pack that came down from the hills in the middle of the night. Your father has been sleeping with his rifle by the bed ever since. But he doesn't look worried. He looks calm, the way he always does when there's trouble. Your father is the kind of man who doesn't panic. He just figures out what needs to be done and does it. "I'll take the rifle when I go for wood," he says. "Jacob can come with me." Jacob is your older brother, 14 years old and already nearly as tall as your father. He's been desperate to be treated like a man, to be included in the serious work of keeping the family alive. This winter, your father has started letting him help more, taking him on hunting trips, teaching him how to track deer and set traps for rabbits. Today, he'll learn how to watch for wolves. The cabin is waking up now. Martha sits up in bed, rubbing her eyes. Samuel stretches and yawns. From the corner where the cradle sits, you hear baby William starting to fuss. He's 2 years old, the youngest of the family, and he still wakes up hungry in the morning. Your mother goes to him, scooping him up and holding him against her shoulder. She hums something soft and low, an Irish lullaby that she's sung to all of you at one time or another. The melody is familiar and strange at the same time. Words in a language you don't understand, but that feel like home anyway. "Eliza," your father says, "after you eat, I need you to help your mother with the cooking. We're having goose tonight." Goose. Your heart jumps. Real goose for Christmas dinner. Your father must have been planning this for weeks, trading furs or doing extra work for one of the wealthier families down in the settlement. On the frontier, goose is a luxury. Most families make do with whatever they can hunt or raise. Rabbit, if they're lucky. Squirrel, if they're not. Some years, Christmas dinner is just corn mush and whatever vegetables survive the root cellar. But this year, there will be goose. "Yes, Pa," you say, trying not to sound as excited as you feel. Your mother is already moving toward the hearth, where a pot of water hangs over the growing fire. Breakfast will be simple, the same as every morning. Corn porridge with a little bit of molasses if there's any left. Maybe a piece of salt pork if the supplies are holding out. You're hungry. You're always hungry in the winter. The cold burns through calories faster than the summer heat, and food is harder to come by when the ground is frozen and the animals are hidden away. But you've learned to ignore the hunger, to push it to the back of your mind and focus on what needs to be done. Today is Christmas Eve, and on the frontier, Christmas Eve means survival. It means making sure the fire doesn't go out. It means checking on the animals and watching for wolves. It means preparing the best meal your family can manage and giving thanks for another year of being alive. Not exactly the glittering holiday you might be imagining right now, lying in your warm bed with your full stomach. But for Eliza McAdams, standing in a frozen cabin on the edge of the wilderness, it's the most wonderful day of the year. Because today her family's together. Today they're safe. And tonight, when darkness falls and the wolves howl in the hills, there will be a candle burning in the window, a single point of light in the vast, cold darkness, a promise that even in the hardest times, there's still hope. The sun is starting to rise now, pale and weak through the oiled paper window. The cabin is filling with the sounds of morning. Martha asking if she can help with breakfast. Samuel arguing with Jacob about something. Baby William babbling happily in your mother's arms. Your father pulls on his heavy coat, the one lined with beaver fur that he trapped himself. He picks up his rifle and checks the powder and shot. Jacob, he calls, time to go. Your brother appears already dressed and eager. He's got that look on his face, the one that says he's ready for anything. Your father hands him an axe and nods toward the door. Before they leave, your father pauses. He looks back at your mother, standing by the fire with the baby. Something passes between them, some silent communication that you're too young to fully understand. Then he smiles, just a little, and tips his hat. We'll be back by noon, he says. Keep that fire burning. The door opens. The cold rushes in, and then they're gone. Two figures disappearing into the white wilderness, swallowed by the snow and the silence and the endless frontier. You stand by the window, watching until you can't see them anymore. Your breath fogs the oiled paper. Behind you, the fire crackles and pops, throwing dancing shadows on the log walls. Christmas Eve on the frontier has begun. Your mother hands you a wooden bowl filled with corn porridge. It's thick and grey and smells faintly of smoke. There's no molasses today. The jar ran out 2 weeks ago, and the nearest trading post is a full day's ride in good weather. In this snow, it might as well be on the moon. You eat standing by the fire because the cabin only has 2 chairs and those belong to your parents. The children sit on the floor or on the edge of the bed or wherever they can find a spot. Martha is perched on an overturned bucket, spooning porridge into her mouth with intense concentration. Samuel is already finished and asking for more, even though he knows there isn't any. That's your portion, your mother says gently. We need to save the rest for supper. Samuel's face falls, but he doesn't argue. You've all learned not to argue about food. There's never enough of it in winter, and complaining only makes everyone feel worse. Baby William is sitting in your mother's lap, gnawing on a piece of dried apple. He's got 4 teeth now, and he's very proud of them. Your mother says he's going to be a strong one. She says that about all of you, but with William there's something different in her voice, like she's trying to convince herself as much as anyone else. The thing is, babies die out here. A lot. You don't talk about it, but everyone knows. The Henderson baby died last spring from a fever that came on so fast nobody even had time to send for the doctor. The Wilsons lost twins the winter before that. Your mother had another baby between Samuel and Martha, a little girl named Rose who lived for 6 days before she just stopped breathing in the middle of the night. You don't remember Rose. You were too young. But sometimes you catch your mother looking at the small wooden cross your father carved, the one that sits on the shelf above the fireplace next to the family Bible, and you know she's thinking about the daughter she buried in frozen ground, in a grave so small it barely disturbed the snow. That's the frontier for you. You celebrate life because death is always right there, sitting in the corner, waiting. Eliza? Your mother's voice pulls you back. Come help me with the goose. The goose is hanging in the corner of the cabin, plucked and cleaned and ready for cooking. Your father brought it home 3 days ago, traded for a stack of beaver pelts he'd been saving since autumn. A whole goose. It's the most extravagant thing you've ever had for Christmas dinner. Your mother shows you how to prepare it. First, you remove the neck and the wingtips. These go into the big iron pot that's always hanging over the fire. Nothing gets thrown away. The neck will be boiled for hours, the meat falling off the bone, becoming the base for a broth that will feed the family for days after Christmas is over. My grandmother taught me this, your mother says, her hands moving with practiced efficiency. Back in Ireland we had geese too. Not often, mind you. We were poor as church mice, most of us. But at Christmas, if we were lucky, there might be a goose. She pauses, a distant look crossing her face. You've seen this expression before. It's the one she gets when she's remembering the old country, the place she left behind when she was barely older than you. Tell me about the candle, you say. You've heard the story before, but you want to hear it again. There's something comforting about the familiar words, the rhythm of your mother's voice as she tells it. She smiles. The candle in the window. That's the most important tradition of all. Her hands keep working as she talks, pulling the giblets from inside the goose. Heart, liver, gizzard. These will be chopped fine and added to the gravy. Every part of the animal has a purpose. Every scrap has value. Back in Ireland, a long time ago, the English didn't want us to be Catholic. They passed laws saying we couldn't practice our faith, couldn't go to Mass, couldn't have priests. But we did anyway, in secret. Priests would travel from house to house, hiding in barns and cellars, saying Mass for families who were risking everything just to pray. You've heard bits of this before, but your mother rarely tells the whole story. Today, though, something in her seems to want to remember. On Christmas Eve, Catholic families would put a candle in the window. It was a signal. It meant the priest was welcome here. It meant there would be shelter and food and safety, at least for one night. The English thought we were just welcoming Mary and Joseph, like in the Bible story. They thought we were being silly and superstitious. They didn't know we were hiding something right under their noses. She laughs softly. My grandmother used to say that the Irish survived by being stubborn and clever. The English had the guns and the laws, but we had the candle. And that small flame, that tiny light in the window, it meant more than all their armies. Is that why we light one here, you ask? Your mother nods. Here on the frontier, the candle means something different. But it's the same idea, really. It means welcome. It means there's shelter here for anyone who needs it. On Christmas Eve, when the snow is blowing and the wolves are howling and a traveller might be lost in the darkness, that candle is a promise. Come in, get warm, you're safe now. She reaches out and tucks a strand of hair behind your ear. Her hands smell like goose fat and wood smoke. Your father thinks I'm being sentimental. He says nobody's going to be wandering around in a blizzard on Christmas Eve, but I light the candle anyway, because you never know, and because it connects us to something bigger. All those people, all those years, all those small flames burning in windows across the ocean and across time, we're part of that now. Outside, the wind is picking up. You can hear it rattling the oiled paper window, whistling through the gaps in the logs. The storm your father predicted is coming. You hope he and Jacob are already on their way back. Ma, Martha's small voice pipes up from across the cabin. Is Pa going to be okay? Your mother doesn't hesitate. Of course he is. Your father knows these woods better than anyone. He's probably already heading home with enough firewood to last us through New Year's. But you catch the quick glance she throws toward the door, the slight tension in her shoulders. Mothers on the frontier learn to hide their worry, but daughters learn to see through the hiding. Meanwhile, about a mile from the cabin, your father is standing at the edge of a small clearing, his breath coming in white clouds. Jacob is beside him, the axe resting against his shoulder. See there? Your father points to a spot in the snow where something has disturbed the surface. That's where they came through. 3 of them, maybe 4, heading east toward Miller's farm. Jacob crouches down, studying the tracks the way his father taught him. Wolf prints, big ones. The snow around them is packed and scuffed, like the pack stopped here for a while before moving on. They're hunting, Jacob says. They're always hunting in winter. Not much for them to eat when the deer move south and the rabbits go to ground. That's when they start looking at farms, at livestock, your father pauses. At people, if they're desperate enough. Jacob swallows hard. He's heard the stories. Everyone on the frontier has heard the stories. Most of them are probably exaggerated. Wolves don't usually attack people. They're scared of us mostly. But when winter gets bad enough, when hunger makes them bold, anything can happen. We should tell the Hendersons, Jacob says. Warn them. Your father nods approvingly. Good thinking. We'll stop by on the way back. For now, let's get this wood cut and loaded. I don't like the look of that sky. The sky is the colour of old pewter, heavy with snow that hasn't fallen yet. The trees are silent, their branches weighted down with ice. Everything feels still and waiting, like the world is holding its breath. Your father selects a dead oak that's been standing at the edge of the clearing since last summer. Dead wood burns better than green wood, hotter and cleaner, with less smoke. A family that burns green wood is a family that's either desperate or foolish, and Benjamin McAdams is neither. He hands Jacob a smaller axe and positions him on the opposite side of the trunk. We'll work together. You cut, then I cut. Keep the rhythm steady. Watch your feet. The first blow sends chips flying. The sound echoes through the forest, sharp and loud in the winter silence. Then Jacob's axe falls, and then your father's again, and soon they've established a rhythm that's almost musical. Thwack, thwack, thwack. It's hard work. The kind of work that warms you up from the inside, that makes you forget about the cold gnawing at your fingers and toes. Jacob's arms are burning after just a few minutes, but he doesn't stop. He won't stop. Not in front of his father, not when he's finally being treated like a man. Back at the cabin, you're helping your mother render the goose fat. This is one of those jobs that sounds gross, but is actually kind of fascinating. You put the chunks of fat into a pot over low heat and watch as they slowly melt down into liquid gold. This fat will be saved in a jar and used for cooking all winter long. It'll flavour everything from corn cakes to beans to whatever game your father manages to bring home. In the old days, your mother says, goose fat was precious. Women would trade it like money. A jar of good fat could get you a length of cloth or a bag of salt. We never threw any of it away, not a drop. She started making the stuffing now, tearing up chunks of bread that's gone stale over the past week. Nothing is wasted. The stale bread becomes stuffing. The giblets become gravy. The bones will be boiled until they're soft enough for the dog to eat, and even then the leftover broth will be saved. It's a philosophy of life, really. You don't have the words for it yet, but you understand it instinctively. Everything has value. Everything can be used. Waste is a sin, not because the preacher says so, but because waste could mean the difference between surviving the winter and not. Martha has been given the job of watching baby William, which mostly means keeping him from crawling into the fire. She's taking her responsibility very seriously, building a fortress out of blankets and pillows to keep him contained. William thinks this is a wonderful game and keeps trying to escape. Samuel is supposed to be doing chores, but he keeps drifting over to the window to watch for Pa and Jacob. You know how he feels. There's something unsettling about having the family split up, even for a few hours. The frontier teaches you to stick together, safety in numbers and all that. "Stop hovering," your mother says to Samuel, not unkindly. "They'll be back soon. Go fill the water bucket." Samuel groans. Filling the water bucket means going outside to the well, which is about 50 feet from the cabin door. 50 feet doesn't sound like much, but in weather like this it might as well be a mile. The cold hits you like a fist the moment you step outside. The snow is deep enough to come up to Samuel's knees, and there's always the possibility, however small, of something dangerous lurking between here and there. But he goes, because that's what you do on the frontier. You complain a little, and then you do what needs to be done. Through the window, you watch him trudge toward the well, his small figure dark against the white snow. He's got your father's old coat wrapped around him, the one that's too big in the shoulders and drags in the back. His breath makes a trail of steam behind him. For a moment, just a moment, you feel something twist in your chest. Love, maybe, or fear. On the frontier, it's hard to tell the difference sometimes. You love your family so much it scares you, because you know how easily they could be taken away. Your mother is humming now, that Irish song again, the one without words, or at least without words you can understand. The fire crackles, the wind howls. Baby William laughs at something Martha is doing with the blankets, and somewhere out in the woods an axe is falling, over and over, as your father and brother work to keep the family warm through another winter night. This is Christmas Eve on the frontier. No decorations except the ones you'll make yourselves. No presents except the ones carved by hand in the long dark evenings. No tree except maybe a pine branch stuck in a bucket of sand, decorated with whatever bits of ribbon and string your mother has saved over the year. But there will be a candle in the window tonight, a small flame against the darkness, a promise kept across an ocean and through generations. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's everything. The first snowflakes begin to fall. They come down slow at first, lazy, almost, drifting on the wind like tiny feathers released from some giant pillow in the sky. You watch them through the window, each flake catching the grey light before disappearing into the white blanket already covering the ground. But you know what's coming. You've lived through enough Ohio winters to recognize the difference between a gentle snow and the beginning of something serious. This has the feel of serious. The air has that heavy quality to it, that pressure that means the sky's about to open up and dump everything it's been holding. "Ma," you say, "it's starting." Your mother comes to stand beside you at the window. For a long moment neither of you speaks. You just watch the snow falling, the flakes getting thicker and faster by the minute. "They know," she says finally. "Your father knows these storms. He'll get them home." But her hand finds yours and squeezes, and you squeeze back. Because knowing and believing are two different things, and right now both of you are working very hard to believe. Samuel comes bursting back through the door, the water bucket sloshing in his hands. Snow is already caking his hair and shoulders, his cheeks are bright red, his nose running. "Storm's coming for real now," he announces, like this is news. I could barely see the well on the way back. Your mother takes the bucket from him and sets it by the fire to keep it from freezing. Get those wet things off. Warm yourself. Samuel doesn't need to be told twice. He strips off the too big coat and positions himself as close to the fire as he can get without actually climbing in. Steam rises from his damp clothes. "Do you think Pa saw the storm coming?" he asks. "Do you think they're on their way back?" "Yes," your mother says, and her voice has that firm quality that means no more questions. The voice that says we're done discussing this, because discussing it will only make the worry worse. You understand. On the frontier, you learn to put the worry in a box and set it aside. You learn to keep your hands busy and your mind focused on the task in front of you. Because if you let yourself think too much about all the things that could go wrong, you'd never stop screaming. So you don't think about wolves. You don't think about the cold that can freeze a man solid in less than an hour. You don't think about the stories you've heard of travellers who got lost in blizzards and were found in the spring, their bodies perfectly preserved by the ice, sometimes just a few 100 feet from safety. Instead, you think about the goose, about the stuffing your mother is making, about the way the cabin will smell when dinner is finally ready, roasted meat and sage and the warmth of the fire. You think about the candle that will burn in the window tonight, its small flame visible to anyone who might be out in the storm. A beacon, a promise, a light in the darkness. And you think about your father, out there somewhere in the woods with Jacob, his axe rising and falling as the snow begins to pile up around them. You picture him looking up at the sky, gauging the weather, making the decision to head home. You picture him and Jacob loading the wood onto the sled, pulling it through the deepening drifts, following the trail they made on the way out. He knows these woods. He knows this weather. He's been surviving winters on the frontier for nearly 20 years now. If anyone can make it back safely, it's Benjamin McAdams. But the snow is falling harder now. The wind is picking up, driving the flakes sideways, piling them against the walls of the cabin. Through the window you can barely see the outhouse, and that's only 30 feet away. Martha has given up trying to contain baby William, and is now sitting in your mother's chair, holding him in her lap. She's singing to him, the same lullaby your mother always sings, though she doesn't quite have the tune right. William doesn't seem to mind. He's clutching a wooden spoon like it's the most valuable treasure in the world. Samuel has stopped asking questions. He's sitting by the fire, his knees pulled up to his chest, watching the door, waiting. You're all waiting now. The fire crackles, the wind howls, the snow keeps falling. And somewhere out there, in the white and the cold and the growing darkness, your father and brother are trying to find their way home. Out in the woods, your father stops swinging his axe and looks up. The sky has gone from grey to almost black in the space of 20 minutes. Snow is falling so thick now that he can barely see Jacob standing 10 feet away. The wind has teeth. It bites through his coat, his shirt, his skin, all the way down to the bone. "That's enough," he says. "We're leaving now." Jacob doesn't argue. He's scared, though he'd never admit it. The forest that felt familiar an hour ago has become something else entirely. The trees are shadows. The trail they made coming in is already disappearing under fresh snow. Everything looks the same, white and grey and nothing. Your father loads the wood onto the sled with quick, efficient movements. They've cut maybe half of what he wanted, but half will have to do. Staying out here any longer would be stupid, and Benjamin McAdams didn't survive 20 years on the frontier by being stupid. "Stay close," he tells Jacob. "Don't let go of the sled rope. If you can't see me, call out. We stop for nothing until we're home. Understand?" Jacob nods. His hands are shaking, but not just from the cold. This is real. This is the kind of moment his father has been warning him about his whole life. The frontier doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about your plans or your hopes or your family waiting at home. It will kill you just as easily as it will let you live, and the only thing standing between you and death is your own wits. They start moving. The sled is heavy with wood, and the snow is already knee-deep in places. Your father breaks trail, pushing through the drifts with his shoulders, using his body as a plough. Jacob follows in his footsteps, pulling the sled, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The world has shrunk to nothing. There's no sky, no trees, no horizon, just white, endless, swirling, suffocating white. The snow gets in their eyes, their mouths, their noses. It piles on their shoulders and has to be shaken off every few steps. Your father is counting. Steps, landmarks, anything he can use to keep track of where they are. He's walked this route 100 times in good weather. He knows every tree, every rock, every dip in the ground. But the storm is trying to erase all of that, to turn the familiar into the unknown. "Pa!" Jacob's voice comes from behind him, thin and desperate. "I can't feel my hands." Your father stops, turns back. Jacob is standing there with the sled rope wrapped around fingers that have gone white at the tips. Frostbite. The first stage of it, anyway. Another hour out here and he could lose those fingers entirely. "Give me your hands." Jacob holds them out. Your father takes them in his own, rubbing hard, trying to force the blood back into the frozen flesh. It hurts. Jacob can tell by the way his father's jaw tightens, but he doesn't complain. He just stands there, letting his father work on his hands, watching the snow pile up around them. "Better." Jacob flexes his fingers. They're screaming now, pins and needles shooting up to his wrists. But screaming means the blood is flowing again. Screaming is good. Yeah, I'm okay." Your father reaches into his coat and pulls out a pair of wool mittens, his own mittens, the ones he's been wearing all morning. He hands them to Jacob. "Put these on. Keep the rope outside the mitten so you don't lose feeling again." "But Pa, what about you?" "I'll be fine. I've got tough hands." He holds them up, showing the calluses, the scars, the rough skin that comes from years of hard work. These old things have been through worse. It's not true, or at least not entirely true. The cold is already biting into his bare fingers, turning them red and then white at the tips. But Jacob doesn't need to know that. Jacob needs to believe that his father is invincible, that nothing can hurt him, that they're going to make it home no matter what. They push on. The Henderson place appears out of the white like a ghost. One moment there's nothing, and the next there's a dark shape. A cabin. Smoke rising from the chimney. Your father feels something loosen in his chest. They're on the right path. They're not lost. "We need to warn them," he says, "about the wolves." They bang on the door and old Mr. Henderson opens it, his face creased with surprise and then concern when he sees the state of them. "Benjamin? Good Lord, man, what are you doing out in this?" "Getting wood. Listen, we found wolf tracks near Miller's Creek. A pack, heading east. They might come this way." Henderson's face goes serious. He's lost livestock to wolves before. Everyone on the frontier has. "How many?" 3 or 4, big ones. "I'll bring the sheep into the barn tonight. Keep the rifle loaded." He looks past your father at Jacob, who's standing there shivering despite the mittens. "You better get that boy home. Storm's only going to get worse." "I know. Just wanted to warn you." Henderson nods. There's a whole conversation in that nod. "Thanks. Be careful. See you on the other side." The language of people who don't have time for long goodbyes. Your father and Jacob push back into the storm. The last half mile is the hardest. The wind is directly in their faces now, driving the snow like needles into their skin. Jacob has stopped feeling his feet. Your father's hands are beyond cold, beyond pain, somewhere in that numb territory that's either very good or very bad, but they keep moving, one step, then another, because that's what you do. That's the only thing you can do. And then, through the swirling white, your father sees it. A light. It's faint, barely visible, flickering in the wind. But it's there. A single candle burning in a window. Your mother lit it early. She wasn't supposed to light it until nightfall, until Christmas Eve proper. But she couldn't wait. She stood at the window watching the storm, watching the path your father would take coming home, and she couldn't wait any longer. So she lit the candle, and now it's burning there, that tiny flame cutting through the blizzard like a beacon, like a promise, like every candle that's ever burned in an Irish window guiding someone home. Your father doesn't cry. He's not the crying type. But something happens in his chest when he sees that light. Something that feels like all the fear and worry and determination of the last hour finally letting go. There, he says to Jacob, you see it? Jacob sees it. And suddenly his legs don't feel so tired anymore. Suddenly the cold doesn't matter quite as much. There's a light in the window, and that means home. And that means his mother and his sisters and his brothers and warmth and safety and everything good in the world. They stumble the last 100 yards. The cabin door flies open before they even reach it, and your mother is there, her face white with relief, pulling them inside, slamming the door against the howling wind. "Thank God," she keeps saying. "Thank God, thank God." You're there too. And Samuel and Martha, all of you crowding around your father and Jacob, touching them like you need to make sure they're real. Jacob's eyebrows are frosted white. Your father's beard has icicles hanging from it. They look like they've been dipped in sugar, these two men who just walked through a blizzard to get home. Your mother is already moving, getting them close to the fire, pulling off their wet coats and boots. Their feet are blocks of ice. She fills a basin with lukewarm water and makes them soak their hands and feet, slowly bringing the warmth back. Too much heat too fast can damage frostbitten flesh. She knows this. Everyone on the frontier knows this. "I saw the candle," your father says. His voice is rough, tired. "Soon as we came out the trees, I saw it." Your mother's eyes fill with tears, but she blinks them back. No time for tears. Not yet. There's work to be done. "The storm's not letting up," your father says. "We need to bank the cabin before it gets dark." Everyone groans. Snowbanking means going back outside into the cold they just escaped. But your father is right. If the snow keeps falling at this rate, it'll pile up against the walls naturally, but not in the right places. They need to pack it tight against the base of the cabin, creating a barrier against the wind, an extra layer of insulation that could mean the difference between a cold night and a frozen one. 20 minutes, your mother says. Then we come back in, no arguments. You bundle up, every layer you own, one on top of another. Coat over sweater, over shirt, over undershirt. 2 pairs of socks inside boots that are already too tight. A scarf wrapped around your face until only your eyes are showing. The door opens, and the storm hits you like a wall. You can barely breathe. The wind steals your breath right out of your lungs, replaces it with ice. But your father is already moving, shoveling snow against the west wall of the cabin. Your mother joins him, then Jacob, then you. Even Samuel is out there, his small shovel moving at half the speed of everyone else but moving all the same. Martha watches from the window, baby William in her arms, her face pressed against the oiled paper. It's hard work. The hardest work you've done all day. Your arms are burning after 5 minutes. Your back aches. The cold is everywhere, in your clothes, in your bones, in the very air you're breathing. But there's something else too. Something you didn't expect. You're laughing. It starts when Samuel throws a shovelful of snow that goes wide and hits Jacob in the back of the head. Jacob spins around, outraged, and Samuel's face is pure innocence, even though everyone knows exactly what happened. "You little rat," Jacob says, and he scoops up a handful of snow and throws it back. Suddenly there's a snowball fight happening in the middle of a blizzard, in the middle of the most important chore of the day. Your father should stop it. Your mother should scold you all. But instead she picks up a handful of snow and lobs it at your father, catching him right in the chest. He stands there for a moment, stunned. Then a slow smile spreads across his face. Oh, that's how it's going to be? The next 5 minutes are chaos. Snow flying everywhere. Shrieks of laughter cutting through the howl of the wind. You nail Jacob with a perfect shot to the ear. Samuel gets your mother right in the shoulder. Your father chases all of you around the cabin, threatening revenge but never quite catching anyone. It's ridiculous. It's childish. It's exactly what you need. Because this is what the frontier can't take from you. The wolves can circle and the storms can rage and the cold can bite down to your bones. But this moment of pure stupid joy, this belongs to you. This is yours. Eventually your mother calls a truce. There's still work to do. You all return to your shovels, packing the snow against the walls, building it up until it reaches almost to the bottom of the window. The cabin looks different now, smaller somehow, buried in white, but also safer, more secure, like it's hunkered down, ready to weather whatever the night brings. "That's good," your father says finally. "Let's get inside." You file back through the door, stamping snow off your boots, peeling off layers of wet wool. The fire has died down a little while you were gone, but it's still burning, still throwing heat into the small space. Your mother adds another log. The flames catch, rising up, filling the cabin with light and warmth. Steam rises from your damp clothes as you crowd around the hearth, shoulder to shoulder with your siblings, feeling the heat soak into your frozen skin. Outside, the storm rages on. The wind screams against the walls, throwing snow against the newly banked sides of the cabin. But inside, you're safe. Inside, you're warm. Inside, your family is together, and the candle is burning in the window, and the goose is ready for roasting, and it's Christmas Eve on the frontier. Your father sits down in his chair with a heavy sigh. He looks tired, older than he did this morning, but when he catches your eye, he winks. "Not a bad Christmas Eve so far," he says. "What do you think?" You think about the storm, about the wolves, about how close your father and brother came to not making it home. You think about the candle in the window and the light it threw into the darkness. "I think it's perfect," you say, and right now, in this moment, it really is. Your mother is already moving again, because mothers on the frontier never really stop moving. She's checking the goose, basting it with some of the rendered fat, filling the cabin with a smell so good it makes your stomach growl. "Another hour," she announces. "Maybe a little more. That bird's a big one." Martha has climbed down from the window and is showing baby William a piece of string, making it dance in front of his face. He's trying to grab it with his chubby fingers, laughing every time it slips away. Simple pleasures, the kind that don't cost anything except time and attention. Samuel is sitting as close to the fire as he can get without actually being in it. His wet socks are steaming. His cheeks are bright red. half from the cold and half from the warmth. He looks exhausted, but there's a grin on his face that won't go away. "That was the best snowball fight ever," he says to no one in particular. "I got Ma right in the shoulder." "I let you hit me," your mother says, not looking up from the goose. "A Christmas gift." "No, you didn't. I'm just a really good thrower." "You're a menace to society is what you are." But she's smiling when she says it. Everyone's smiling. The fear that hung over the cabin all afternoon has lifted, replaced by something warmer. Relief, maybe. Gratitude. The simple happiness of being together when you so easily might not have been. Your father is examining his hands by the firelight. The tips of his fingers are red and swollen, the early signs of frostbite that will probably blister in a day or two. But they're still attached. They still work. On the frontier, you learn to count your blessings by what you didn't lose. Jacob is sitting on the edge of the bed, his borrowed mittens in his lap. He hasn't said much since they got home. You know that look on his face. He's replaying the walk back in his head, thinking about what could have happened, what almost happened. He's growing up, your big brother, learning that the world is bigger and more dangerous than he ever imagined. "Hey," you say, sitting down next to him. "You okay?" He looks at you. His eyes are older than they were this morning. "Yeah," he says. "Yeah, I'm okay." A pause. "It was close, though. Out there. It was really close." You don't know what to say to that, so you just bump your shoulder against his. A small gesture. Sibling language for "I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you made it." He bumps you back. "I know. Me too." The light outside is fading fast. The storm has stolen what little daylight there was, turning the afternoon into something that feels like twilight. Through the window, you can see nothing but swirling white, the snow piling higher and higher against the glass. But inside, the cabin glows. The fire throws dancing shadows on the log walls. The candle in the window flickers but doesn't go out. The goose sizzles over the flames, fat dripping into the fire with little hisses and pops. Your father stands up, stretching his back, wincing a little at the stiffness in his muscles. 20 years of frontier living has left its mark on his body. But he's still strong, still here, still the man who walked through a blizzard to get home to his family. "I need to check on the animals," he says. "Make sure the barn door is secure." "I'll go with you," Jacob says immediately. Your father looks at him for a long moment. Something passes between them, an acknowledgement, a respect that wasn't quite there before. "All right," he says, "bundle up, we won't be long." They go out together, father and son, disappearing into the white. The door closes behind them, and the sound of the storm grows muffled again, distant, like something happening in another world. Your mother stands at the window watching the darkness where they disappeared. Her hand is pressed flat against the oiled paper, like she's trying to reach through it to touch them. "They'll be fine," you say, though you're not sure if you're telling her or yourself. She nods. I know they will." But she doesn't move from the window until they come back, 5 minutes later, stomping snow off their boots and reporting that the cow is warm, the chickens are settled, and the pig is, as always, ornery as all get out. The family's together again. The cabin is banked and warm. The storm can do whatever it wants out there in the darkness. In here, it's Christmas Eve, and Christmas Eve is for family. The evening settles over the cabin like a blanket. Outside, the storm still rages, but inside something has changed. The panic of the afternoon has faded. The worry has loosened its grip. Now there's just the fire, the family, and the long night ahead. Your father has pulled his chair close to the hearth. In his lap is a block of pine, about the size of his fist. In his hand is a knife, the blade worn thin from years of use but still sharp enough to shave curls of wood so thin they're almost transparent. He's carving. This is what he does in the evenings, when the work of the day is done and there's nothing left but the waiting. Most nights he carves practical things, spoons, buttons, handles for tools that have broken. But tonight is different. Tonight he's carving something special. You watch his hands move. There's something almost magical about it. The way the shapeless block slowly transforms under his knife. A curve here, a notch there. The suggestion of wings beginning to emerge from the wood. "What's it going to be?" Martha asks. She's crept up beside him, her eyes wide. "What do you think it's going to be?" She studies the block, tilting her head. "A bird? Maybe. We'll see." That's how your father always answers. "We'll see." Like the carving has a mind of its own, like he's just following where the wood wants to go. You've watched him make dozens of these over the years. Birds and stars and tiny animals that fit in the palm of your hand, each one different, each one perfect in its own way. These are your Christmas ornaments, not the store-bought kind that the wealthy families in the cities hang on their trees. These are made by hand, by your father's rough fingers, in the long dark evenings of winter. And somehow that makes them more valuable than anything money could buy. Your mother is working too, but her craft is different. She's got a corn cob in her lap and a pile of fabric scraps beside her. The needle in her hand flashes in the firelight as she stitches together something that's slowly taking the shape of a dress. A doll. She's making a doll for Martha. You know this because you've seen her working on it for weeks, always late at night when the younger children are asleep. She'd pull out the fabric and the corn cob and work by candlelight, her fingers moving fast, trying to finish before Christmas Eve. And now here she is, putting on the final touches, the tiny embroidered eyes, the yarn hair, the little apron made from a scrap of her own worn-out dress. Martha doesn't know about the doll yet. That's part of the magic of Christmas on the frontier. The gifts are secrets, hidden away and worked on in stolen moments. When Martha goes to sleep tonight, the doll will be waiting for her in the morning, and she'll think it appeared by magic, never knowing how many hours of love went into every stitch. "Ma," Samuel says, breaking the comfortable silence. "Tell us about the log." Your mother looks up from her sewing. "The log?" "The Christmas log. You said we were going to have a contest this year." "Ah, the log." You'd almost forgotten about that tradition. It was something your mother's neighbours used to do back east, before she moved to the frontier. On Christmas Eve, each family would put a big log in their fireplace, and the goal was to keep it burning all night long. Whoever's fire was still going on Christmas morning won bragging rights for the whole year. "We don't have any neighbours close enough for a proper contest," your mother says. "Not in this weather." "We could have our own contest," Samuel insists. "Between us, who can keep watch on the fire the longest?" Your father snorts. "You'd be asleep in 10 minutes. Would not." "Would too. I've seen you. You fall asleep standing up." Samuel's face goes red, but he can't really argue. He does have a tendency to nod off at inconvenient times. Last month he fell asleep in the middle of milking the cow and nearly tipped off the stool. "Tell us about how it worked anyway," you say. "Back when you were young." Your mother sets down her sewing and leans back in her chair. The firelight catches her face, softening the lines around her eyes, making her look almost young again. "It wasn't just about the fire," she says. "It was about community. People would visit each other's houses all through the night, checking on everyone's logs, Sharing a cup of coffee, telling stories, the children would run from cabin to cabin with reports. The miller's log is burning strong. The Hendersons went out at midnight. It was like a game, but it was also something more, a way of staying connected during the darkest time of the year. Is that why people go to the trading post at Christmas? Samuel asks. Your mother nods. Same idea. Some years, when the weather holds, families travel from all over to gather at the trading post. Sometimes it takes days to get there, but it's worth it. You see people you haven't seen all year. Fur traders who've been out in the wilderness for months. Families from other settlements. Sometimes even the native folks come to trade. Everyone shares food, tells stories, plays music. The children run wild with other children. It's the only time some families see anyone outside their own four walls. She sighs, glancing toward the window where the snow is still falling. Not this year, though. Storm's too bad, but maybe next year. Did your family ever win? Jacob asks, bringing her back to the log contest. Your mother smiles. Once, I was about Martha's age. My father found the perfect log, a big piece of oak that was just the right size for our fireplace. He'd been drying it out for months, keeping it in the barn where the rain couldn't get to it. And on Christmas Eve he put it in the fire and it burned all night long. My mother and I took turns watching it, making sure it didn't go out, and in the morning, when the other families came to check, our fire was still burning. My father was so proud. He talked about that log for years. What happened to your parents? Martha asks with the bluntness that only a 5-year-old can manage. The question hangs in the air. Your mother's face doesn't change, but something behind her eyes goes quiet. They're gone now, she says softly. Both of them. The fever took them the same winter I came to America. Nobody says anything. The fire crackles. The wind howls outside. Baby William makes a small sound in his sleep. But I remember them, your mother continues. I remember my father's hands, how big they were, how they could fix anything. I remember my mother's voice when she sang. I remember the Christmas log burning all night, and the way my parents looked at each other across the fire, like they had a secret that no one else knew. She picks up her sewing again, her needle finding its rhythm. That's what we pass down, you see. Not things, memories, stories, the traditions we keep alive even when we're far from the places where they were born. Your father has stopped carving. He's watching your mother with an expression you can't quite read. Love, maybe, or gratitude, or just the quiet understanding of two people who've been through hard times together. Sarah, he says, just her name, nothing else. She looks up at him and smiles. I know, Ben, I know. You don't understand what's passing between them, not really. But you file it away in your mind, this moment, this look. Something to remember when you're older. Something to understand when you've lived a little more. The bird is done. Your father holds up his carving, and there it is. A small wooden bird with delicate wings and a curved beak, so real it looks like it might fly away. The wood is pale and smooth, sanded down with careful strokes until it gleams in the firelight. It's beautiful, Martha breathes. It's for the tree, your father says, such as it is. The tree is a pine branch stuck in a bucket of sand in the corner of the cabin. It's barely 3 feet tall, crooked, missing needles in places, but it's a tree, and now it has an ornament. Your father crosses the room and ties the bird to one of the branches with a piece of twine. It hangs, there, spinning slowly, catching the light. One down, he says, a few more to go. He settles back into his chair and picks up another block of wood. This one will become a star, you think. or maybe another animal, something for each of you, something made with time and skill and love. That's what Christmas gifts are on the frontier. Not things you buy, but things you make. Hours of work transformed into objects that will be treasured for years. Your father's carvings, your mother's dolls and clothes. Jacob has been working on something too, you know. You've seen him sneaking into the barn in the evenings, heard the sound of his knife against wood. A gift for your parents, probably. Something to prove he's growing up, that he can contribute to the family. Even Samuel has been making things. Lumpy, crooked things that barely resemble what they're supposed to be. But he made them himself, with his own hands, and that's what matters. "Can I help?" Martha asks, reaching for one of the wood blocks. Your father shakes his head. "Not tonight, little one. Maybe tomorrow I'll teach you how to hold a knife proper, but for now, you just watch." Martha's face falls, but only for a moment. Watching is almost as good as doing sometimes, especially when you're watching magic happen. The goose is starting to smell incredible. Your mother checks it every few minutes, basting it with fat, turning it so it cooks evenly. The skin is getting crispy, turning golden brown. The stuffing inside is absorbing all the juices, getting rich and flavorful. Your stomach growls. You've been hungry all day, that low-level hunger that's just part of winter on the frontier. But now the smell of real food, good food, is making the hunger sharp and urgent. "How much longer?" Samuel asks for the third time in 10 minutes. "Soon," your mother says. "Soon." You said that an hour ago. And it was true an hour ago. Patience is a virtue. Patience is boring. Your mother laughs. A real laugh, warm and surprised. "You sound just like your father when he was young." "I was never impatient," your father says, not looking up from his carving. "Benjamin McAdams, you were the most impatient young man in 3 counties. Don't you remember the time you tried to eat the Christmas pudding before it was done and burned your tongue so bad you couldn't taste anything for a week?" Your father's ears go red. That was different. It was exactly the same. You thought if you just took a small bite nobody would notice, but the pudding was still boiling in the middle. Samuel is grinning now, delighted to hear stories of his father's youthful mistakes. "Did you cry?" "I did not cry," your father says with dignity. "He cried," your mother confirms. "Big tears. His mother had to put butter on his tongue to soothe the burn." Everyone laughs. Even your father eventually, his serious face cracking into a reluctant smile. This is another gift of Christmas Eve. The stories. The memories shared around the fire. The reminder that your parents were once young too, once made mistakes, once were just as impatient and hungry and eager as you are now. "Tell another one," Martha demands. "Tell about when Pat first came to court you." "Oh, that's a good one," Samuel agrees. Your father groans. "Not that story." "Especially that story," your mother says, her eyes twinkling. "Your father showed up at my door with a bouquet of wildflowers and a speech he'd memorized from a book. He was so nervous he forgot half the words. He just stood there, holding the flowers, opening and closing his mouth like a fish. I was not like a fish. You were exactly like a fish, a very handsome fish, but a fish nonetheless. You try to imagine your father nervous about anything. It's almost impossible. He's the man who walked through a blizzard today, who faced down wolves and storms and everything else the frontier could throw at him. But once, apparently, he was a young man standing on a doorstep, terrified of a pretty Irish girl with fierce eyes and a sharp tongue. What happened next, you ask? I took pity on him, your mother says, invited him in for tea. He spilled it all over himself within 5 minutes. The cup was too small, your father mutters. The cup was a normal size. Your hands were just shaking. More laughter. The fire crackles. The goose sizzles. Outside, the storm continues its assault on the cabin walls, but in here there's only warmth and light, and the sound of a family enjoying each other's company. This is what the frontier can't take from you. The wolves can howl, and the snow can fall, and the winter can stretch on for months, but this is untouchable. The love in this room, the stories, the laughter, the ornaments slowly filling the tree, the gifts hidden away, waiting to be revealed. Your mother stands up and crosses to the fire. She picks up a long wooden spoon and lifts the lid off the pot where the goose is roasting. "It's done," she announces. And suddenly, nothing else matters. The ornaments, the stories, the storm outside. All of it fades into the background as the smell of roasted goose fills the cabin, and your stomach reminds you that you've been waiting for this moment all day. Christmas dinner is served, but even now there are rituals to observe. Your mother doesn't just plop the goose on the table and let everyone dig in. That's not how it works, not on Christmas Eve. First, the table has to be set. The table is really just a couple of planks laid across sawhorses, covered with a cloth that your mother brought all the way from Ireland. It's old and worn, patched in places, but it's special. It only comes out on Christmas. You help lay out the plates. They're mismatched, a collection of different sizes and patterns that have been acquired over the years through trades and gifts and the occasional lucky find. One of them has a chip in the rim, another has a crack running through the middle, but they're yours, and tonight they're going to hold the best meal of the year. The spoons are wooden, carved by your father years ago. The cups are tin, dented but clean. There aren't enough chairs, so the children sit on overturned buckets and the edge of the bed. It doesn't matter. You've never known anything different. Your mother carries the goose to the table, and for a moment everyone just stares at it. It's beautiful. Golden brown, steaming, the skin crackling and glistening with fat. The smell is so good it almost hurts. Before we eat, your father says, we give thanks. Everyone bows their heads. This is the one time all year when your father says a prayer out loud. He's not a man of many words when it comes to God, but on Christmas Eve he makes an effort. Lord, he begins, his voice rough and quiet. Thank you for this food. Thank you for this family. Thank you for bringing us through another year, through the storms and the cold and the hard times. Thank you for the roof over our heads and the fire in our hearth and the love that keeps us together. He pauses. You can feel him searching for more words, the right words. We remember those who aren't here with us. Sarah's parents, my brother Daniel, little Rose. We carry them in our hearts, and we know they're watching over us. Your mother makes a small sound. You don't look up, but you can imagine her face, the tears she's trying not to let fall. Bless this meal, your father finishes. Bless this family, and keep us safe through the night ahead. Amen. Amen, everyone echoes. Then your mother picks up the carving knife, and the real feast begins. The goose is everything you imagined and more. The meat is tender, falling off the bone, rich and flavourful from the hours of slow roasting. The stuffing is perfect, soft and savoury, soaked through with goose fat. There's gravy made from the drippings, thick and brown, and bread that your mother baked this morning while you were all asleep. For a while, nobody talks. Everyone's too busy eating. The only sounds are the clink of spoons against plates, the soft moans of satisfaction, the fire crackling in the hearth. Samuel eats like he's afraid someone's going to take his plate away. Martha is more delicate, taking small bites, savouring each one. Jacob eats steadily, methodically, the way he does everything now. Baby William gets small pieces of meat that your mother has chewed soft for him, and he gnaws on them with his 4 teeth like they're the finest delicacy in the world. You eat slowly, trying to make it last. This meal won't come again for another year. There won't be goose again until next Christmas if you're lucky. Every bite is precious. Every bite is a gift. This is good, your father says, which is the highest compliment he ever gives to food. Your mother beams. She's been working toward this meal for weeks, hoarding ingredients, planning every dish. This is her gift to the family, not something wrapped in paper, but something made with love and care, something that will warm you from the inside out. Save room, she warns. There's pudding after. Pudding. Christmas pudding, made with dried fruits and spices and whatever sweetness she could scrape together. It's been sitting in the pot for days, getting richer and darker, waiting for this moment. You're already full, but somehow you know you'll find room. Outside the storm howls on. The candle flickers in the window. The ornaments spin slowly on the tree, and inside a family sits together, eating goose by firelight, celebrating another Christmas Eve on the frontier. The pudding comes out of the pot like something from a dream. It's dark, almost black, studded with dried fruits that your mother has been hoarding since autumn. Raisins traded for at the last supply run. Bits of apple that she dried herself, sliced thin and hung over the fire until they turned leathery and sweet. A precious spoonful of molasses that makes the whole thing sticky and rich. Your mother sets it in the centre of the table, and steam rises off it like a prayer. Is that? Samuel starts. Christmas pudding, your mother confirms. The real thing, or as close as I could manage out here. Nobody moves. The pudding sits there, dark and glistening, and you can smell the spices. Cinnamon, nutmeg. Things that have no business being in a cabin in the middle of Ohio. Things that travelled hundreds of miles to end up in this humble dessert. My mother used to make this, your mother says quietly, back in Ireland. She'd start preparing it weeks ahead, soaking the fruits, mixing the batter, and on Christmas Eve she'd bring it out and we'd all gather round and it was like magic. Like all the hardship of the year just melted away for one night. She picks up a knife and begins to cut. The pudding is dense, heavy with fruit and flavour. Each slice falls onto a plate like a small treasure. You take your first bite, and for a moment you're not in Ohio anymore. You're somewhere else entirely. Somewhere warm and sweet and full of things you can't quite name. The pudding tastes like Christmas is supposed to taste. Like memories you don't even have yet. Like the promise of something good in the middle of something hard. This is the best thing I've ever eaten, Martha announces, her mouth full. Don't talk with your mouth full, your mother says automatically, but she's smiling. Even your father, who rarely comments on food beyond whether it's edible or not, takes a second bite and closes his eyes. Sarah, he says, this is something special. Your mother's face goes pink with pleasure. It's nothing, just a pudding. But you can tell she's proud. She should be. Out here, every ingredient is precious. Sugar is worth its weight in silver. Spices are practically mythical. And somehow, with almost nothing, she managed to create something beautiful. Something that tastes like home, even though home is 1,000 miles and an ocean away. The fire crackles, the wind howls. Baby William is dozing in his cradle, full of goose and milk and warmth. The candle still burns in the window, its flame steady despite the draughts that sneak through the cracks in the walls. And then comes the knock. At first you think it's just the wind, a branch hitting the cabin maybe, or a loose shutter banging against the frame, but then it comes again. 3 sharp raps against the door. Everyone freezes. "Who would be out in this?" Jacob asks, his voice low. Your father is already on his feet, reaching for the rifle that hangs above the door. On the frontier, you don't open your door to strangers without being prepared. Not at night, not in a storm, not ever. "Stay back," he says quietly. "All of you." He moves to the door, the rifle in his hands. "Who's there?" A voice comes through the wood, muffled by the storm but still audible. "Please, my name is Ezra Whitmore. I saw your light. I've been walking for hours. Please, I'm freezing." Your father looks at your mother. A conversation passes between them in that look. All the warnings about strangers on the frontier. All the stories of travellers who weren't what they seemed. The risk of opening your door to someone you don't know. But also the candle burning in the window, the whole reason it's there in the first place. "Ben," your mother says softly, "it's Christmas Eve." Your father's jaw tightens. Then he nods once, short and sharp, and lifts the bar from the door. The man who stumbles in is not what you expected. He's old. Older than your father, maybe older than anyone you've ever seen. His beard is white, crusted with ice. His coat is thin, patched in a dozen places, completely inadequate for this weather. His hands are bare, the fingers an alarming shade of blue. He collapses just inside the doorway, gasping, shaking so hard that his teeth are chattering like castanets. "Close the door," your mother commands, already moving. "Jacob, get blankets. Eliza, warm water, not hot. Samuel, move away from the fire. Give him room." The family springs into action. This is something you know how to do. Surviving the cold, treating frostbite, bringing someone back from the edge. You've seen it before. You've done it before. Your mother strips the frozen coat from the old man's shoulders and wraps him in the warmest blanket you have, the one made from rabbit pelts that usually stays on your parents' bed. Your father helps him to the fire, supports him as he sinks down onto a stool. "Drink this," your mother says, pressing a cup of warm water into his shaking hands. Slowly, just sips. The old man drinks. His eyes are closed, his whole body shuddering with relief as the warmth begins to penetrate his frozen limbs. "Thank you," he whispers. "Thank you. I thought I was done for." "What are you doing out in this storm?" your father asks. His voice is gruff but not unkind. "Where did you come from?" "I was heading to my daughter's place," the old man says. "She lives about 10 miles west of here. I thought I could make it before the storm hit. I was wrong. 10 miles. In this weather, in the dark, with the snow coming down like a curtain. 10 miles might as well be 100. "I saw your candle," he continues, "through the snow. I couldn't see anything else, not the trail, not the trees, nothing. But I saw that light, and I walked toward it. It took me, I don't know how long, hours, but I kept my eyes on that light and I just kept walking. Your mother catches your eye. There it is. The reason for the candle. Not just tradition, not just memory, but purpose. A light in the window for a lost soul wandering in the storm. You're safe now," she says to the old man. "You'll stay here tonight. In the morning, when the storm breaks, we'll help you find your way." "I can't impose." "It's not an imposition," your father says firmly. "It's Christmas Eve. No man dies in the snow when there's room by our fire." The old man's eyes fill with tears. He tries to speak, but the words won't come. He just nods, over and over, clutching the cup in his slowly warming hands. Martha has crept closer, her natural curiosity overcoming her shyness. "What's your name again?" "Ezra," the old man says. Ezra Whitmore. I'm Martha. That's Eliza, and that's Samuel, and that's Jacob, and that's baby William, but he's sleeping, and those are my ma and pa. It's a pleasure to meet you all, Ezra says solemnly, and to be in your home. I've never seen a more beautiful sight than that candle in your window. Ma put it there, Martha says proudly. It's for people who are lost. Then it served its purpose well. Your mother ladles out a bowl of leftover goose broth, rich and hot and healing. She adds a piece of bread, softened in the liquid so it won't be too hard for an old man's teeth. She sets it before Ezra like an offering. Eat, she says. Get something warm in your stomach. He eats slowly, carefully, his hands still trembling but steadier now. Colour is returning to his face. His fingers are losing that terrible blue tinge, flushing pink as the blood begins to flow again. I'm a peddler, he says between spoonfuls. Was a peddler, I should say. I'm getting too old for the road. This was supposed to be my last trip. I've been walking from settlement to settlement for 40 years, selling needles and thread and ribbons and little things that women need. But my legs aren't what they used to be. My eyes aren't what they used to be. It's time to stop. Where's your wagon? Samuel asks. Your horse? Sold them both in the last town. Used the money to buy a gift for my daughter. Thought I'd walk the last stretch. He shakes his head. Foolish. An old man's foolishness. You made it, your mother says gently. That's what matters. Only because of you. Only because of that candle. He looks around the cabin, at the humble furnishings, the makeshift tree with its single wooden bird, the children gathered around the fire. You have a beautiful family, a beautiful home. Your father snorts. It's not much. It's everything, Ezra says. Believe me, I've been in 100 homes over the years. Rich homes, poor homes, homes that were falling apart, and homes that were full of fine things. And I've learned that the beauty of a home has nothing to do with what's in it. It's the people, the love, the light in the window that says you're welcome here. The fire pops and crackles. Outside the storm continues its assault, but in here there's a strange peace. A stranger at the table eating your food, sharing your warmth. And somehow it feels right. Somehow it feels like this is exactly what Christmas Eve is supposed to be. Do you have any stories? Martha asks, because Martha always asks for stories. Ezra smiles, the lines around his eyes crinkling. I have hundreds of stories. Thousands, maybe. 40 years on the road gives you plenty of stories. Tell us one, Samuel pleads. Tell us the best one. The old peddler thinks for a moment, his eyes distant, travelling back through the years. Let me tell you about the Christmas I spent with the Shawnee, he says finally. It was, must have been 30 years ago now. I was young and stupid and thought I knew everything. I got caught in a storm much like this one, and I wandered into a Shawnee camp more dead than alive. The children lean forward. Even your parents seem interested, though they try to hide it. They took me in, Ezra continues, fed me, warmed me by their fire. They didn't speak much English, and I didn't speak any Shawnee, but somehow we understood each other. They had their own winter traditions, you see, their own ways of marking the darkest time of the year, and on the night I was there they sang. What did they sing, you ask? I don't know the words, but the melody. I've never forgotten it. It was sad and beautiful, all at the same time. It was about survival, I think, about making it through the long, dark winter and coming out the other side, about holding on to hope when everything seems hopeless. He hums a few notes, soft and low. It's a strange melody, nothing like the hymns you know, but there's something in it that makes your throat tight. I stayed with them for 3 days, Ezra says, until the storm passed, and when I left, the chief gave me this." He reaches into his shirt and pulls out something small, hung on a leather cord. It's a stone, smooth and round with markings carved into it. He said it would protect me on my journeys, keep me safe from storms and wolves and all the dangers of the road. I've worn it ever since, and here I am, 40 years later, still alive. He chuckles. Maybe it works. Or maybe I've just been lucky. "Can I see it?" Martha whispers. Ezra lifts the cord over his head and places the stone in Martha's small palm. She stares at it, with wide eyes tracing the strange markings with her finger. What do the symbols mean? I never knew for certain, but the chief drew a picture of a fire when he gave it to me. So I've always thought it meant something like, "May you always find warmth. May you always have a place by someone's fire." Martha looks up at him, then at the fire burning in your hearth, then back at the stone. Something connects in her 5-year-old mind. "Like our candle," she says. "Yes," Ezra agrees softly. "Exactly like your candle." He takes the stone back and hangs it around his neck again, tucking it beneath his shirt. The weight of it seems to comfort him, a 40-year-old promise keeping him company on the road. Your mother has been watching the exchange with soft eyes. Now she stands and crosses to the corner where a trunk sits, the one that holds her most precious possessions. "I have something," she says, "something I brought from Ireland." She opens the trunk and rummages through it, past old letters and faded photographs and bits of fabric saved for repairs. Finally, she pulls out a small book, its cover worn soft with handling. "This is a book of Irish songs," she says. "My mother gave it to me before I left home. Some of them are Christmas songs. Would you like to hear one?" Ezra's eyes widen. "I would be honoured." Your mother doesn't sing often. Her voice is not like the ones in church, trained and proper. It's rougher, sadder, carrying the weight of everything she's lost. But when she opens the book and begins to sing, there's something in her voice that makes everyone go still. The song is in a language you don't understand. Irish, your mother's first tongue, the language of her childhood. The melody is haunting, minor key, rising and falling like breath. You don't know the words, but somehow you understand them anyway. They're about loss, about hope, about lights in windows and strangers at doors and the simple miracle of making it through another night. When she finishes, no one speaks. The fire crackles. Baby William sighs in his sleep. Outside, the wind has gentled just a little, as if even the storm paused to listen. "That was beautiful," Ezra says, and his voice is thick with emotion. "Thank you." Your mother closes the book and holds it against her chest. "My mother used to sing that every Christmas Eve. No matter how hard things were, no matter how little we had, she would sing. She said that as long as we could still make music, we were still alive. Really alive. Not just surviving. She was a wise woman. She was. Your mother's smile is bittersweet. She would have liked you, Mr. Whitmore. She always had a soft spot for wanderers." The night deepens around you. The candle burns lower in the window, but it's still there, still sending its small light out into the darkness. Somewhere out in the storm, maybe there are other travellers, other lost souls looking for a beacon. But this one made it. This one found your door, and somehow that feels like enough. Your father stands and stretches, his joints popping after hours of sitting. "We should all get some rest," he says. "Morning will come whether we're ready or not." He's right. The excitement of the evening, the feast, the stranger's arrival, it's all catching up with you now. Your eyelids are heavy. Your stomach is full for the first time in months. The warmth of the fire is wrapping around you like a blanket, pulling you down towards sleep. Where will Mr. Whitmore sleep, you ask? Your mother has already thought of this. By the fire, she says. We'll make him a pallet with the extra blankets. He needs to stay warm through the night. Keep those hands and feet from getting worse. Ezra starts to protest. I don't want to take your bedding. You're not taking anything, your mother says firmly. We're giving it. There's a difference. The old man falls silent, and you can see the gratitude written across his weathered face. 40 years on the road, and maybe he's not used to kindness anymore. Maybe he's forgotten what it feels like to be welcomed without conditions, to be offered warmth without having to pay for it. Jacob helps your father arrange the blankets near the hearth, far enough from the flames to be safe but close enough to feel the heat. Your mother adds another log to the fire, a thick piece of oak that should burn slow through the night. Thank you, Ezra says again, settling onto the makeshift bed. Thank you all. I won't forget this. I won't forget any of you. Get some sleep, your father says gruffly. We'll talk more in the morning. The children begin the nightly ritual of preparing for bed. On the frontier, this doesn't mean changing into pajamas or washing up in a bathroom. It means taking off your outer layer and keeping everything else on. It means using the chamber pot in the corner, trying not to be too embarrassed. It means piling into bed with your siblings, bodies pressed together for warmth. Tonight, though, something is different. Tonight there's a stranger in your home, an old man sleeping by your fire. Tonight the candle fulfilled its purpose. Tonight your mother sang a song she hasn't sung in years. Tonight feels like something to remember. Eliza, your mother says softly, help me with the dishes. You nod and follow her to the corner where the wash basin sits. The water is cold, but you're used to that. Together you scrape the plates clean and stack them neatly. The bones from the goose go into a pot. Tomorrow they'll be boiled into broth. Nothing wasted. Everything used. Ma, you say quietly, so the others won't hear, do you think Mr. Whitmore will be okay? Your mother pauses, a plate in her hands. I think so. His hands are warming up. No black spots, that's a good sign. He'll have some blisters, but he'll keep his fingers. I meant, you're not sure how to say it. He seems lonely. Your mother sets the plate down and looks at you. Really looks at you. The way she does sometimes when she's remembering that you're not a little girl anymore. He is lonely, she says. 40 years on the road, no home to call his own. That's a hard life, Eliza. Harder than ours in some ways. But he's going to his daughter's house. Yes, and that's something. But I wonder... She trails off, shaking her head. Never mind. It's not our business. What? Your mother sighs. I wonder if she'll be glad to see him. I wonder if there's room for an old peddler in her life, after all these years of him being gone. You think about that, about what it would be like to have a father who was never there, who showed up only on Christmas with a gift in his hand and stories on his lips. Would you be glad to see him, or would you be angry? Would you welcome him home, or would you wonder why he's only coming now, when he's too old and tired to keep going? He loves her, you say finally. He must. He was walking through a blizzard to see her. Love isn't always enough, your mother says. But then she smiles, a tired smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. But sometimes it is. Sometimes it's exactly enough. She cups your face in her hands, her palms rough from years of work. You're a good girl, Eliza, a thoughtful girl. I'm proud of who you're becoming. The words warm you more than the fire. Your mother doesn't say things like that often. There's never enough time for soft words on the frontier, never enough breath left over after all the hard ones. Now go to bed, she says, releasing you. Tomorrow we'll be here before you know it. You cross the cabin to where your siblings are already piling into bed. Jacob is on the outside, as always, his body a barrier against the cold that seeps through the walls. Samuel is next, then Martha, then the space where you'll fit. Baby William is in his cradle nearby, his small chest rising and falling with each breath. You climb in, wedging yourself between Martha and the edge of the bed. Martha immediately curls against you, her cold feet pressing into your legs, her small body seeking warmth. "Eliza," she whispers, "is the old man going to be okay?" "Yes," you whisper back, "he's going to be fine." "Good. I like him. He has nice stories." "Go to sleep, Martha. I'm going to dream about the Shawnee, and the fire stone, and the candle." "That sounds like a good dream." "It is." She yawns, her jaw cracking. "Merry Christmas, Eliza." "Merry Christmas, Martha." Within minutes her breathing slows and deepens. She's asleep, gone to wherever children go when they dream. Samuel is snoring softly. Even Jacob, who usually stays awake longest, has succumbed to exhaustion. You lie there in the darkness, listening to the sounds of the cabin, the fire crackling, the wind still pushing against the walls but gentler now, less angry. Your father's voice, low and murmuring, as he says something to your mother. Her soft reply. And, beneath it all, the slow, steady breathing of the old peddler by the fire. A stranger who isn't a stranger anymore. A lost soul who found your light. You're almost asleep when your father's voice cuts through the darkness. Wait. You open your eyes. The cabin is dim, lit only by the glow of the fire and the fading candle in the window. Your siblings stir around you, confused. "We forgot something," your father says. He's standing by the fireplace, and in his hands is a book. The family Bible. "Ben, it's late," your mother says softly. "The children are exhausted." "I know, but it's Christmas Eve. We don't skip this, not ever." Your mother hesitates, then nods. "You're right. Children, come here. All of you." There's groaning and shuffling as everyone climbs out of bed. The floor is freezing against your bare feet. You hurry to the fire, where the warmth wraps around you like a living thing. Ezra, the old peddler, starts to rise from his pallet. I can step outside while you..." "You'll do no such thing," your mother says firmly. "You're part of this household tonight. You stay." The old man settles back down, his eyes bright with something that might be tears. Your family arranges itself around the hearth. Your father sits in his chair, the Bible heavy in his lap. Your mother takes the other chair, baby William drowsy in her arms. The rest of you find spots on the floor, legs crossed, shoulders touching. Jacob, you, Samuel, Martha, who is already yawning so wide you can see her tonsils. The Bible is old. Older than you, older than your parents, older than America itself. Your grandfather carried it across the ocean from England. His father carried it before him. The leather cover is cracked and faded, the pages yellowed, the binding held together with prayers and stubbornness. Inside the front cover, there's a list of names, births, deaths, marriages, your family's history, written in different hands across generations. Your own name is there, Eliza Jane McAdams, born March 14th, 1832. So is Martha's, and Samuel's, and Jacob's. And in your father's careful script, William Benjamin McAdams, born September 8th, 1841. And below that, in your mother's hand, Rose Sarah McAdams, born and died June 3, 1840. 6 days. That's how long your sister lived. 6 days. And then she was gone, and all that's left is a line of ink in an old book and a wooden marker on a shelf. Your father opens the Bible to a page he knows by heart. He doesn't need to search for it. His fingers find it automatically, the way your fingers find the handle of the water bucket or the latch on the henhouse door. And it came to pass in those days, he begins, his voice low and rough, that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. The story of Christmas, the story you've heard every year for as long as you can remember. Joseph and Mary travelling to Bethlehem, no room at the inn, the baby born in a stable, laid in a manger because there was nowhere else to put him. Your father reads slowly, carefully, giving weight to every word. He's not an educated man. He never finished school, never learned to read properly until he was nearly grown, but he reads this passage like it's the most important thing he's ever said. And there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. Outside the wind picks up again. The cabin creaks and groans. Somewhere in the distance a wolf howls, long and mournful, and you feel Martha press closer to you. And lo, the angel of the Lord came upon them, and the glory of the Lord shone round about them, and they were sore afraid. Sore afraid. You understand that phrase differently now than you did when you were younger. You know what it means to be afraid, really afraid. Afraid of the cold, afraid of hunger, afraid of the wolves that circle in the darkness, afraid of losing the people you love. Your father finishes the passage and looks up. Jacob. He holds out the Bible, and your brother takes it with hands that tremble slightly. Whether from cold or nerves, you can't tell. Jacob finds his place and reads. His voice cracks once, then steadies. And the angel said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to all people. Fear not. Easy words to say, hard words to live. Jacob passes the Bible to you. The weight of it is surprising, even though you've held it before. Pages and pages of words, stories, promises, a whole world contained between two leather covers. You find the next verse and read, For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Saviour, which is Christ the Lord. Your voice sounds strange in your own ears, small but steady. Your father nods, a tiny movement, and you feel a warmth spread through you that has nothing to do with the fire. Samuel takes the Bible next. He's still learning to read, still sounding out the bigger words so his verse is short. And this shall be a sign unto you. Ye shall find the babe wrapped in swaddling clothes lying in a manger. He stumbles over swaddling and no one laughs. Everyone waits while he figures it out. That's the rule. You wait. You don't rush. Every voice matters. Martha is last. She can barely read at all, just the simplest words, so your mother helps her. Together they sound out the final verse, Martha's small finger tracing the letters on the page. Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men. Martha beams up at your mother, proud of herself. Your mother kisses the top of her head. For a moment no one moves. The fire crackles, the wind sighs, the wolves have gone quiet at least for now, and your family sits together in the glow of the hearth, the Bible open in Martha's lap, the words hanging in the air like something you could almost touch. May I? Ezra asks quietly. Your father looks at him, then at the Bible, then back at Ezra. A stranger asking to read from the family Bible. It's not nothing. It's a big ask. But your father nods. Go ahead. Ezra reaches out and takes the Bible with the kind of care you'd give to something infinitely precious. He turns the pages slowly, searching until he finds what he's looking for. "This is my favourite passage," he says, "from the Psalms. My mother used to read it to me when I was afraid." He clears his throat and begins. His voice is different from your father's, softer and more worn, like a road that's been travelled too many times. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul." The words wash over you like warm water. You know this psalm, of course. Everyone knows it. But hearing it now, in the middle of a blizzard, in the middle of the wilderness, in the middle of a night when death walked close to an old man's heels, it means something different. "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me." Ezra's voice catches on the word death. He pauses, swallows, continues. "Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over." You think about the goose, the pudding, the warmth of this cabin in the middle of the frozen world. Your cup runneth over. Yes, tonight it does. "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." Ezra closes the Bible and holds it against his chest for a moment. His eyes are closed, his lips are moving, but no sound comes out. A private prayer, maybe. A thank you. He hands the Bible back to your father, who receives it with equal solemnity. "Thank you," Ezra says, "for letting me be part of this." "You're welcome," your father says. And somehow, those two simple words contain everything. Welcome to our home. Welcome to our table. Welcome to our family, even if it's just for one night. Your mother stands, baby William draped over her shoulder like a sack of flour. "All right, now we really do need to sleep. Tomorrow will be here soon enough." The family disperses, your parents to their corner of the cabin, where a curtain gives them some privacy, Ezra to his pallet by the fire, the children back to the bed, crawling under the covers and rearranging themselves like puppies in a basket. This time, when you close your eyes, sleep comes quickly. The words of the Bible echo in your mind, mixing with the crackle of the fire and the whisper of the wind. "Fear not. I bring you good tidings of great joy." You drift off with Martha's breath warm against your neck and Jacob's shoulder solid behind you. The oldest on the outside, protecting everyone from the cold. The youngest in the middle, surrounded by warmth. This is how pioneer children sleep. This is how they survive. The night deepens, hours pass. You don't know this because you're asleep, lost in dreams that you won't remember in the morning. But the night goes on without you, the fire burning low, the cabin creaking in the wind, the snow piling up against the walls. At some point the wolves come closer. You hear them in your sleep, a distant howling that weaves into your dreams and becomes something else entirely. In your dream, the wolves are singing. In your dream, the wolves are calling your name. But you're not afraid. Not in your dream, and not in real life. Because you're surrounded by warmth, by family, by love. The wolves can howl all they want. They can't touch you here. Your father gets up twice during the night to feed the fire. You don't know this either, but you feel it somehow, a shifting in the fabric of the night, a brief cold draft as he moves, then warmth again as the flames leap higher. He checks on Ezra too, makes sure the old man is still breathing, still warm, still alive. He checks on the children, pulling the blanket higher for Samuel's exposed shoulder, tucking Martha's foot back under the covers. This is what fathers do on the frontier. They keep watch, they tend the fire, they stand between their families and the darkness, night after night after night. Your mother gets up once too to feed baby William. He fusses in the small hours of the morning, hungry and cold, and she settles into her chair with him at her breast, rocking gently, humming a tune under her breath. The same tune she sang earlier, the Irish song from her mother's book. But softer now, barely more than a whisper, meant only for William's ears. He falls back asleep with milk on his lips and the melody in his dreams. Outside, the storm finally begins to ease. The wind drops. The snow falls lighter, then lighter still, then stops altogether. The clouds part just a little, and for a brief moment stars appear in the sky. Thousands of them, millions of them. Points of light scattered across the darkness, cold and distant and beautiful. If you were awake, you might see them through the gap in the shutters. You might think about the Star of Bethlehem, the one that guided the wise men to the manger. You might wonder if somewhere out there, another family is looking at the same stars, thinking the same thoughts. But you're not awake. You're sleeping, surrounded by your siblings, warm and safe and loved. And that's enough. That's everything. The candle in the window has burned down to almost nothing, just a stub of tallow, barely an inch tall, the flame flickering weakly, but it's still burning, still sending its small light out into the world, a beacon, a promise, a hope. On Christmas Eve, in a cabin in Ohio, a candle burns for the lost, and tonight, the lost was found. The hours creep by. In the deepest part of the night, when the fire has burned down to coals and the cold has crept closer to the bed, Jacob shifts. You feel it in your sleep, a movement, a tensing of muscles. He's awake. He's been awake for a while, you realize later, lying there in the dark, listening, watching, doing what the oldest child does when the parents are asleep and someone needs to keep guard. The wolves are closer now. Their howls have changed, become sharper, more urgent. Not the lonely singing of earlier, but something else. Communication, planning, a pack on the hunt. Jacob slips out of bed, moving carefully so he doesn't wake anyone. The floor is cold against his feet, but he doesn't flinch. He crosses to the window and peers through the crack in the shutters. Outside, the snow has stopped. The clouds have thinned, and in the pale light of the stars he can see shapes moving at the edge of the tree line. Grey shapes, 4 of them, maybe 5, the wolves from this morning. They've circled back. Jacob's hand finds the rifle where it hangs by the door. He doesn't take it down. He's not allowed to fire it without permission, not unless it's a true emergency. But he rests his fingers on the stock, feeling the smooth wood, drawing comfort from its presence. The wolves don't come closer. They pace along the tree line, their eyes catching the starlight, points of yellow in the darkness. They can smell the goose, probably, smell the people, smell everything that's warm and alive inside these walls, but they don't attack. They're smart wolves. They know that a cabin with smoke rising from the chimney means fire, means people, means danger. After a while, they move on. Jacob watches them go, watches until the last grey shape disappears into the trees. Then he lets out a breath he didn't know he was holding and goes back to bed. He doesn't tell anyone about this, not until years later, when he's grown and has children of his own. And when he does tell the story, he'll remember this moment. The cold floor, the wolves' eyes, the weight of responsibility settling on his young shoulders. This is how boys become men on the frontier, not all at once, but in small moments, in the quiet hours of the night when no one else is watching. Back in bed, Jacob curls around his siblings. He's shivering now, his feet like blocks of ice. But he doesn't complain. He just presses closer, sharing what warmth he has, taking what warmth he needs. You make a small sound in your sleep, a murmur of protest as his cold feet touch your legs. But you don't wake up. You just shift, accommodate, make room for him in the tangle of limbs and blankets. This is how it's always been. This is how it will be until you're all grown and gone, scattered to your own cabins, your own families, your own cold nights. But for now, you're together. For now, you're safe. The fire needs feeding again. Your father's internal clock tells him this even in sleep, and he rises once more, padding across the floor with the practiced silence of a man who's done this 1,000 times. He adds 2 logs this time, big ones, enough to last until morning. The flames catch and climb. He looks old in this light, older than his years. The frontier does that to people. It takes something from you, year by year, and what it gives back is written in the creases of your face and the stiffness of your joints. But he's alive. His family is alive. His children are warm in their bed. His wife is breathing softly in the corner, and there's a stranger by his fire who would be dead without their candle. That's not nothing. That's everything. He checks on Ezra one more time. The old man is sleeping deeply now, his breathing slow and even. The colour has returned to his face. His hands, tucked under the blanket, are pink instead of blue. He'll live. He'll make it to his daughter's house tomorrow if the weather holds. He'll tell her about the family that saved him, the candle in the window, the children who read from the Bible, and the woman who sang songs in a language he didn't understand. Maybe she'll believe him. Maybe she won't. But he'll tell the story anyway, because some stories need to be told. Your father returns to bed, slides in beside your mother without waking her. She makes a small sound and moves closer, her body fitting against his like puzzle pieces. They've slept like this for 15 years. They'll sleep like this for many more, God willing. The cabin settles, the fire crackles, the night goes on. In the east, so far away that no one can see it yet, the first hint of dawn is beginning to touch the sky, a faint lightening, a promise. Christmas morning is coming. But for now it's still dark. For now it's still Christmas Eve, the last few hours of the longest night. You dream of summer, of warm sun on your face and green grass under your feet, of the creek that runs behind the Hendersons' place, cold and clear, where you went swimming last July, of your mother's laughter and your father's rare smile and Martha's shriek as she splashed into the water. It's a good dream, a warm dream, the kind of dream that feels like a gift. Outside, an owl calls, once, twice, and then silence. The world is holding its breath, waiting for morning, waiting for Christmas. Light. That's the first thing you notice. Light creeping through the cracks in the shutters, brighter than it's been in days. Not the grey light of the storm, but something else, something golden. You open your eyes. The cabin is quiet. The fire has burned down to embers, just a faint glow in the hearth. Your siblings are still asleep around you, a tangle of arms and legs and warm breath. Samuel's elbow is digging into your ribs. Martha's hair is in your mouth. Jacob is snoring softly, his back to you, his body a wall between you and the cold. You survived the night. It's a thought you have every morning when you wake up and realize you're still alive, still warm, still breathing. But today it feels different. Today it's Christmas morning. Carefully, so carefully, you extract yourself from the pile of bodies. Martha murmurs a protest but doesn't wake. Samuel rolls into the warm spot you left behind. Jacob's snoring doesn't even pause. The floor is cold against your feet, but you barely notice. You're looking at the window, at the light streaming through the gaps. The storm is over. The world outside is bright and white and new. You cross to the door and lift the bar, just a crack, just enough to peek outside. The snow is deep, deeper than you've ever seen it, piled up against the cabin walls where you banked it last night, drifted into strange shapes by the wind. The skies are blue so sharp it hurts to look at, not a single cloud in sight. The sun is just clearing the tree line, and everything is sparkling. Every branch, every fence post, every inch of ground is covered in white that glitters like scattered diamonds. It's beautiful. So beautiful that for a moment you forget to breathe. Merry Christmas. You turn. Your mother is awake, sitting up in bed with baby William in her arms. She's watching you with soft eyes, a small smile on her face. Merry Christmas, Ma. The storm broke, she says. That's a good sign. Maybe the worst of winter is behind us. You both know that's probably not true. It's still December. There are months of cold ahead. But on Christmas morning, you're allowed to hope. You're allowed to pretend. Should we wake the others? Your mother considers. Let them sleep a few more minutes. They earned it. She shifts William to her other arm and pats the bed beside her. Come sit with me, just for a moment. You cross the cabin and settle onto the edge of your parents' bed. It's still warm from their bodies, and you sink into it gratefully. Your mother puts her arm around you and pulls you close. 11 years old, she says quietly. How did you get so big? I don't know. It just happened. It always does. She kisses the top of your head. I'm proud of you, Eliza. You know that, right? The way you help with the little ones, the way you work without complaining, the way you take care of things. Your throat feels tight. Your mother doesn't say things like this often. There's never time. I learned from you, you manage. You learned from yourself. I just showed you the path. You're the one who walked it. She's quiet for a moment, her hand stroking your hair. Your grandmother would have loved you. She would have seen herself in you. The same stubbornness, the same fire. The same red hair, your mother laughs, a soft sound in the quiet cabin. The same everything. You're a Callahan through and through, even if your name is McAdams. From across the room comes a stirring. Martha, finally awake, her head popping up from the bed like a prairie dog emerging from its hole. Is it Christmas? She demands. Is it really Christmas? It's really Christmas, your mother confirms. That's all it takes. Suddenly everyone is awake, the cabin filling with noise and motion as children tumble out of bed and rush toward the fire. Even Jacob, usually so slow to wake, is on his feet in seconds, his face bright with an excitement he's trying to hide. Your father stokes the fire back to life, adding logs until the flames leap high. The cold retreats to the corners of the room. Ezra sits up on his pallet, looking around with bleary eyes that slowly fill with wonder. Christmas morning, he says softly. I wasn't sure I'd see another one. Well, you did, your father says gruffly, so make the most of it. Your mother is already moving, pulling something from the trunk in the corner, a bundle wrapped in an old cloth. She sets it on the table and looks at the children with a mysterious smile. I believe someone has been waiting for this. Martha is practically vibrating with anticipation. Even Samuel, who usually pretends to be too old for excitement, is leaning forward, his eyes wide. Your mother unwraps the bundle, and there it is. The doll. The corncob doll with the fabric dress and the yarn hair and the careful, loving stitches. Martha's sharp intake of breath is the loudest sound in the cabin. Is that for me? Merry Christmas, Martha. Martha reaches out with trembling hands and takes the doll. She holds it like it's made of glass, like it might shatter if she squeezes too hard. Her eyes are filling with tears, and she can't seem to find any words, which might be the first time in her life that's ever happened. She's beautiful, she finally whispers. She's the most beautiful doll in the whole world. What will you name her? Your mother asks. Martha thinks. A serious think. The kind of thinking that only a 5-year-old can do about a matter of such importance. Rose, she says finally. I'm going to name her Rose. Your mother's face does something complicated. Joy and sorrow and love, all mixed together. Baby Rose, who lived for 6 days. And now, another Rose, made of corn cob and cloth, who will live as long as Martha takes care of her. That's a perfect name, your mother says, and her voice only shakes a little. Your father clears his throat. I've got something too. He produces a small wooden box, one he made himself, with a hinged lid and a latch shaped like a leaf. Inside are the ornaments, the birds and stars and tiny animals he's been carving all month, each one nestled in a bed of dried grass. For the tree, he says, such as it is. The children crowd around, each picking their favourite. Samuel chooses a little bear, squat and sturdy with tiny carved claws. Martha, still clutching Rose, points to a bird with outstretched wings. You pick a star, its points perfectly even, smooth as silk under your fingers. Jacob hangs back, letting the younger children go first. But your father reaches into the box and pulls out one more carving, larger than the others. A horse. A beautiful horse with flowing mane and arched neck, caught mid-gallop, frozen in wood. This one's for you, your father says, handing it to Jacob. You earned it yesterday. Jacob takes the horse without a word, but you can see his Adam's apple bob as he swallows, see the way his fingers trace the lines of the mane. This is more than an ornament. This is recognition. This is your father saying, I see you becoming a man. Thanks, Pa, Jacob manages. Your father just nods. Words have never been his strength. The tree, that sad little pine branch in its bucket of sand, suddenly looks magical. The ornaments catch the light from the window and the glow from the fire, spinning slowly, casting tiny shadows on the walls. It's not much, it's everything. I have something too, Jacob says suddenly. Everyone turns to look at him. He's digging in his pocket, his face red, his movements awkward. I made them myself, he says quickly, like he's apologizing. They're not very good. I'm still learning. He pulls out 2 objects and holds them out. Spoons. Wooden spoons carved from birch, with long handles and deep bowls. They're a little rough, a little uneven. One of them has a chip in the rim where his knife slipped. But they're real. They're made. They're a gift from his own hands. For you and Pa, he says, holding them out to your mother. For cooking, the old ones are getting worn out. Your mother takes the spoons and turns them over in her hands. She runs her finger along the bowls, traces the handles. Jacob, she says, these are wonderful. They're not as good as Pa's. They're better, your father says quietly, because you made them for someone else. That's always better. The cabin fills with a warmth that has nothing to do with the fire. Gifts given and received. Love made tangible. That feeling of I thought about you. I made something for you. You matter to me. I should go. The voice comes from the corner. where Ezra has been watching the gift exchange with misty eyes. He's already on his feet, folding the blankets that kept him warm through the night. The storm's broken, he continues. The snow will be heavy, but the sun is out. If I start now, I can reach my daughter's place by nightfall. Are you sure? Your mother asks. You could rest another day, recover your strength. I've recovered more than my strength in this house. Ezra's voice is thick with emotion. I've recovered my faith in people, in kindness, in the Christmas spirit. I won't forget what you've done for me. Any of you. Your father is already pulling on his boots. I'll walk you to the Henderson place. Make sure you're headed the right direction. The trails will be hard to find under all this snow. I couldn't ask you to. You didn't ask. I'm telling. Ezra looks like he might argue, then thinks better of it. He knows frontier hospitality by now. You don't just send a man out into the wilderness alone, not if you can help it. Let me give you something, your mother says. She's packing a bundle, bread and dried meat and a flask of water. For the journey. You've given me too much already. There's no such thing as too much on Christmas. She presses the bundle into his hands and he accepts it with a bow of his head. A formal gesture, old-fashioned, from a time when manners mattered more than survival. Martha tugs on Ezra's coat. Will you come back? The old peddler crouches down to her level, his knees creaking in protest. I don't know, little one. The road doesn't come this way very often, but I'll think about you. Every Christmas, I'll think about the family with the candle in the window, the family who saved an old man's life. You can have this. Martha holds out something small, a button, a wooden button that she found somewhere, one of her treasures. She's offering it to him like it's made of gold. Ezra takes the button and turns it over in his palm. His eyes are shining. I'll keep it always, he says, right next to my firestone. 2 gifts from 2 families who showed me kindness when I needed it most. He tucks the button into his pocket right over his heart. Your father is ready, rifle over his shoulder, hat pulled low. He and Ezra shake hands, a firm grip, the kind of handshake that means something. Thank you, Ezra says, for everything. Thank your luck, your father replies. And that candle, you found us because of that candle. No, Ezra shakes his head. I found you because your family has light, not just in the window, in your hearts. That's what I followed. That's what saved me. He turns to your mother and takes her hand, bowing over it like she's a fine lady in a ballroom instead of a frontier wife in a dirt floor cabin. Mrs. McAdams, it has been an honour. The honour was ours, Mr. Whitmore. Travel safe. Tell your daughter. She hesitates. Tell her you love her. Don't assume she knows. Tell her. Something passes between them, some understanding that you're too young to fully grasp. Something about family and forgiveness, and the things we leave unsaid. I will, Ezra promises, and then he's gone. Out the door, into the brilliant white morning, your father walking beside him. You watch from the window as they make their way through the snow, 2 dark figures against all that white, growing smaller and smaller until they disappear into the trees. The cabin feels different without him, smaller maybe, or larger, like a room that's been rearranged, familiar but strange. Well, your mother says briskly, breaking the spell, we've got a Christmas to finish. Who's hungry? Breakfast is leftover goose, cold but still delicious, and bread toasted over the fire until it's crispy on the edges. There's weak coffee for the adults and warm milk for the children. It's not a feast. It's not a celebration. It's just a family eating together on Christmas morning after surviving another night, and somehow That's enough. Martha is making Rose dance across the table, singing a little song about Christmas and snow and dolls who come alive when no one's watching. Samuel is examining his bear ornament, running his fingers over the tiny carved claws again and again. Baby William is gnawing on a piece of bread, drooling happily, oblivious to everything but his own small world. Jacob is quiet, turning his horse over in his hands, lost in thought. You know what he's thinking about. Yesterday, the blizzard, the moment when he wasn't sure they'd make it home. He'll carry that with him forever. The fear and the cold and the way the world turned white and uncertain. But he'll also carry the horse, the gift from his father, the recognition that he's not a boy anymore. You're quiet too, watching your family, feeling the weight of the star in your pocket. 11 years old, almost grown by frontier standards. A few more years and you might have a family of your own, a cabin of your own, a candle in your own window. But not yet. For now, you're here, with these people, in this place, and that's exactly where you want to be. Your father returns an hour later, stamping snow off his boots, his cheeks red from the cold. He hung back at the tree line to make sure Ezra made it past the worst of the drifts. He's on his way, your father reports. Should reach his daughters before dark if he keeps a good pace. Did he say anything else? Your mother asks. Your father shrugs off his coat and hangs it by the fire to dry. He said thank you about 100 more times. A pause. And he said something about the candle. How in 40 years on the road he's seen a lot of things, good things and bad things, but that light in our window was the most beautiful thing he's ever seen. Your mother doesn't say anything. She just turns back to the fire, but you can see her shoulders shaking slightly. Happy tears, probably. Or maybe just the release of all the tension from the last 2 days. The Henderson smoke is rising, your father adds. Saw it from the ridge. They made it through the night too. We should go visit, Samuel says eagerly. We should tell them about Mr. Whitmore and the wolves and everything. Maybe tomorrow. Let them have their Christmas. We'll have ours. Christmas. The word settles over the cabin like a blessing. You've been so busy surviving you almost forgot what day it was, what it means. The story you read from the Bible last night, about a baby born in a stable, about shepherds and angels and a star in the sky. Your mother starts singing, softly at first, almost to herself, while she tidies up from breakfast. It's a Christmas hymn, one you've heard in church back when you lived close enough to a church to attend. The melody is simple, the words familiar. Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright. Martha picks it up next, her small voice joining your mother's. Then Samuel, slightly off-key but enthusiastic. Then you. Then, surprisingly, Jacob, his voice cracking between boy and man but finding the notes anyway. Your father doesn't sing. He never sings. But he listens, and that's almost the same thing. Sleep in, heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace. The song ends and the cabin is quiet again. But it's a different kind of quiet now. A full quiet. A peaceful quiet. I want to see the snow, Martha announces. Can we go outside? Can we play? Your mother looks at your father. Your father looks at the window, at the brilliant white world beyond. Bundle up, he says finally, and stay close to the cabin. The snow's deep. I don't want anyone getting lost. The children scramble for coats and hats and mittens. Even Jacob, who usually pretends to be too old for playing in the snow, is pulling on his boots with barely contained excitement. You help Martha with her buttons, making sure every inch of her is covered. Bring Rose, you tell her. She should see her first Christmas snow. Martha's face lights up. She tucks the corn cob doll inside her coat, just her yarn-haired head poking out, and follows the others out the door. The snow is up to your waist in places. It's almost impossible to walk. But that doesn't matter. You don't need to walk. You just need to fall. Samuel throws himself backward into a drift, spreading his arms and legs, making a snow angel. Martha copies him, her smaller body leaving a smaller impression. Jacob is already packing snowballs, a dangerous glint in his eye. "No throwing at faces," your mother calls from the doorway. "I mean it, Jacob." "I wasn't going to." The snowball catches Samuel square in the chest before he can finish the sentence. Samuel shrieks with laughter and starts packing his own ammunition. Within seconds, it's chaos. Snow flying everywhere. Children shrieking. Your mother standing in the doorway, shaking her head but smiling. You don't join the fight. Not yet. You're standing at the edge of it all, looking out at the world. The frontier stretches before you, white and wild and beautiful. The trees are heavy with snow, their branches bowed like they're praying. The sky is that impossible blue, so bright it seems to hum. In the distance, you can see the smoke from the Hendersons' chimney, a thin grey line against all that white. Other families, other cabins, other candles in other windows. You're not alone out here. You never were. Even when it feels like you're the only people in the world, there are others, fighting the same fights, surviving the same winters, keeping the same traditions alive. The candle burned out sometime in the night, just a puddle of tallow now, hardened in the windowsill. But it did its job. It brought someone home. Maybe not to his own home, but to a home, and sometimes that's all you need. A snowball hits you in the arm, shattering your thoughts. "Got you," Samuel crows. You bend down, scoop up a handful of snow and join the battle. The war rages for nearly an hour. By the end, everyone is soaked through and shivering, their cheeks red, their breath coming in great white clouds. But they're laughing. Even your father, who came outside at some point and got ambushed by all 4 children at once, is laughing. "Inside," your mother finally orders, "before you all freeze solid." The cabin welcomes you back with warmth and the smell of something cooking. Your mother has put the goose bones on to simmer, starting the broth that will feed you for days. Steam rises from the pot and the whole cabin smells like home. Wet clothes are hung by the fire, dry clothes are put on, hot drinks are pressed into cold hands. The family settles into the rhythm of the day, that comfortable pattern of chores and rest that makes up frontier life. But something is different today. Something is lighter. Martha is playing with Rose in the corner, making up elaborate stories about dolls who go on adventures. Samuel is examining his bear ornament again, already planning where he'll put it when Christmas is over. Jacob is outside with your father, checking on the animals, doing the work that never stops even on holidays. And you're sitting by the fire, the wooden star in your hands, thinking about everything that's happened. The storm that almost killed your father and brother, the candle that saved them, the stranger who stumbled out of the darkness and became for one night part of your family, the gifts made by hand, with love, in the long dark evenings of winter. This is Christmas on the frontier, not the Christmas from stories, with decorated trees and fancy presents and tables groaning with food. Just this, just survival, just family, just light in the darkness. And somehow it's enough. It's more than enough. It's everything. The day passes the way all good days pass, too quickly. The afternoon sun moves across the sky, turning the snow from white to gold to pink. The children play until they're exhausted, then come inside and play some more. Martha puts on a puppet show with Rose as the star, making up stories about brave dolls who save villages from dragons. Samuel builds a fort out of firewood and defends it against imaginary attackers. Baby William learns a new trick, clapping his hands together and laughing at the sound. Jacob spends the afternoon with your father, doing the work that never stops, feeding the animals, checking the fences, making sure everything is secure for the night ahead. They come back in as the sun starts to set, their breath steaming in the cold air, their faces tired but content. Storm's definitely passed, your father reports. Should have clear skies for a few days at least. Good, your mother says. We need to get to town soon. We're running low on salt. Town. The word sounds strange after the isolation of the last few days. Town, where there are other people, stores, a church, all the things that make life feel less like survival and more like living. But that's for later. For now, there's this, the cabin, the family, the fire burning low as the last light fades from the windows. Supper is simple, broth from the goose bones, thick with bits of meat and whatever. Vegetables your mother found in the root cellar. More bread, the last of the loaf, saved for this final meal of Christmas Day. It's not much, but you're not hungry anymore. You're full. Full of food and warmth and something else, something harder to name. After supper, the family gathers by the fire one last time, not for Bible reading or gift-giving or any particular tradition, just to be together, just to sit in the warmth and the light and know that you made it. Another Christmas, another year, another small victory against the wilderness that's always waiting outside your door. Martha falls asleep first, curled up in your mother's lap with Rose clutched to her chest. Her thumb has found its way to her mouth, a habit she's supposed to have outgrown by now. But tonight, no one corrects her. Tonight, she can be a baby again. Samuel is next, his head drooping onto your father's shoulder. He tries to fight it, jerking awake every few minutes, insisting he's not tired. But eventually his eyes stay closed and his breathing deepens and he's gone. Your father carries them both to bed, one under each arm like sacks of flour. He tucks them in with a gentleness that surprises you, even now. This big, rough man with his calloused hands and his gruff voice, arranging blankets around his children like they're made of glass. Jacob goes to bed on his own, too old to be carried, too proud to admit he's just as exhausted as the little ones. But before he goes, he stops in front of your father. "Thanks again," he says, "for the horse." Your father nods. "You earned it." "I know." Jacob hesitates, like there's something else he wants to say. "Pa, out there in the storm, when I thought we might not make it, I wasn't scared." "You weren't?" "I mean, I was, but not of dying. I was scared of not getting back, of leaving Ma and the kids, of you having to tell them what happened." He swallows. "I was scared of not being there for them." Your father is quiet for a long moment. When he speaks, his voice is rough. "That's not fear, son. That's love. It feels like fear sometimes, but it's not. It's the thing that keeps you going when everything else says stop." Jacob nods slowly, like he's filing this away for later, for when he's older, for when he has a family of his own to protect. "Good night, Pa." "Good night, Jacob." And then it's just you and your parents sitting by the dying fire. You should be in bed too, you know that, but something is holding you here. Some need to stretch this moment out to make it last a little longer before the ordinary days come rushing back. Your mother seems to understand. She doesn't tell you to go to sleep. She just sits there, her hands folded in her lap, watching the flames. Outside, the night has settled in fully. The temperature is dropping again, the cold creeping back now that the sun is gone. You can hear the cabin responding to it, the wood contracting, the small sounds of a structure adjusting to the freeze. But inside, everything is warm, everything is still. It was a good Christmas, your mother says finally. It was, your father agrees. Better than I expected. After the storm, after everything, I thought. She trails off. But then Mr. Whitmore came, and the children were so happy with their gifts, and we sang together. I haven't sung like that in years. You have a beautiful voice. I have a tired voice, but thank you. Your father reaches out and takes her hand. A simple gesture, but one you rarely see. Your parents aren't the type for public affection. They show their love in other ways, in work shared and burdens carried, in silent understanding and small sacrifices. But sometimes, when they think no one's watching, you see them like this, connected, united. Two people who chose each other a long time ago and keep choosing each other every day. They sit in comfortable silence. Your parents, who've been through so much together. The ocean crossing, the long journey west, the babies born and the babies lost, the winters that never seem to end, and the summers that pass too quickly. All of it written in the lines of their faces, the grey in their hair, the way they lean into each other without thinking about it. Your father's hands are bandaged now. The frostbite from yesterday is already blistering, the skin red and angry. He'll have scars, probably. More marks on a body already covered with the evidence of frontier life. But he doesn't complain. He never complains. Eliza, your mother says, turning to you, why aren't you asleep? I don't know. I'm not tired. You're always tired. You work harder than anyone in this family. Maybe I don't want today to end. Your mother smiles, soft and sad. It has to end, love. That's what makes it special. If Christmas lasted forever, it wouldn't be Christmas anymore. It would just be ordinary. I know, but you want to hold on to it. I understand. She reaches out and takes your hand. Can I tell you something, Eliza? Something I've figured out? You lean forward, listening. The fire pops and settles, sending up a small shower of sparks. The day ends. It always does. The candle burns out. The gifts get worn and broken eventually. The goose gets eaten, the pudding, and pretty soon there's nothing left but bones and crumbs. She squeezes your hand. But here's the thing. The love doesn't go away. The memories stay. That feeling you have right now, being here with us, being warm and safe and together, you get to keep that. Nobody can take it from you. Not time, not distance, not anything. You think about that. About the wooden star in your pocket, smooth and warm from your body heat. About Rose the doll, who will be Martha's companion for years to come. About the spoons Jacob made, which will stir countless pots of soup and porridge. About the candle, burned down to nothing, but still glowing in your memory. Your grandmother used to say something. Your mother continues. Back in Ireland, when times were hard, she'd say, the fire goes out, but the warmth remains. I didn't understand it when I was young. I thought it was just something old people said. But now you understand? Now I live it, every day. She looks at the hearth, at the embers pulsing with the last of their heat. Every morning when I wake up, I feel her with me. My mother, my father, my brother who died on the ship. They're gone, Eliza, gone from this world. But the warmth they gave me, that's still here. It's in every meal I cook, every song I sing, every candle I light in the window. Your father clears his throat. My brother Daniel. He taught me to carve, sat me down when I was younger than Samuel and put a knife in my hand. He's not looking at either of you. He's looking at the fire, his voice rough. Every time I pick up that knife, I feel him there, guiding my hands, showing me the way. You've never heard your father talk about his brother before. You didn't even know he had one. But now you see the ghost of him in every ornament on that tree, in the horse he gave to Jacob, in the patient, careful way he shapes wood into beauty. That's what we pass down, your mother says. Not things, love, memories, the feeling of being held, being taught, being seen. It goes from one generation to the next, like a flame passed from candle to candle. And as long as we keep passing it, no one is ever really gone. The fire has burned down to embers, just a faint glow, barely enough to see by. But the cabin is still warm. The heat has sunk into the walls, the floor, the blankets piled on the beds. It will last through the night. It will keep you safe until morning. Go to bed, Eliza, your mother says gently. Get some sleep. Tomorrow the work starts again. You stand, your legs stiff from sitting so long. You kiss your mother on the cheek, feeling the soft skin, smelling the familiar scent of wood smoke and flour and something that's just her. You nod to your father, who nods back, a whole conversation in that small gesture. Then you cross the cabin to where your siblings are already sleeping. Jacob has taken his usual place on the outside, his body a barrier against the cold. Samuel and Martha are curled together in the middle, a tangle of arms and legs and warmth. There's a space for you between Martha and the edge, your space, the place you've slept every night of your life. You slide under the covers, feel Martha's small body press against yours, hear Samuel's soft snoring, sense Jacob's protective presence at your back. This is your family. These are your people, and tonight you're all together, safe, warm, alive. The cabin creaks in the wind. The embers glow in the hearth. Somewhere outside a wolf howls long and lonely, but the sound doesn't frighten you. Not tonight. Tonight, you're beyond the reach of wolves and storms and all the dangers of the frontier. Tonight, you're home. You close your eyes. And here's the thing about that Christmas. That ordinary, extraordinary Christmas in a cabin in Ohio in 1843. It wasn't about the goose or the pudding. It wasn't about the ornaments on the tree or the gifts under it. It wasn't even about the candle in the window, though that candle saved 2 lives that night. It was about the people, the family, the love that held them together when everything else was trying to tear them apart. Eliza McAdams grew up. She lived through more winters, more storms, more hard times than anyone should have to face. She married a farmer from the next county over, had 6 children of her own, lost 2 of them before they reached their 5th birthday, just like so many mothers on the frontier. But every Christmas, without fail, she put a candle in the window. She told her children the story of the old peddler who stumbled out of a blizzard on Christmas Eve. She showed them how to carve ornaments from wood, the way her father had taught her. She made corn cob dolls for her daughters and sang Irish songs that her mother had taught her, in a language her children didn't understand but loved anyway. She passed down the traditions, the ones that mattered, the ones that said, "You are loved, you are safe, you belong." And those children grew up and did the same, and their children after them. Generation after generation, spreading out across the country, carrying those small lights with them wherever they went. Most of them never knew where the traditions came from. They just knew that on Christmas Eve You put a candle in the window. You gather with your family. You give gifts that you made with your own hands. You read from the Bible and sing songs and eat too much food and fall asleep in a pile with your siblings, keeping each other warm against the cold. They didn't know about the cabin in Ohio, about Eliza and Jacob and Martha and Samuel, about baby William, who grew up to fight in a war and come home with a limp that never healed, about Sarah, who outlived her husband by 20 years and never stopped putting candles in windows. They didn't know, but they carried it anyway. Funny how that works, isn't it? You do something because your mother did it. She did it because her mother did it. And somewhere way back, there's a reason. A real reason. A night when a candle in a window actually saves someone's life. You're lying in your bed right now, comfortable, warm, safe in a way that Eliza couldn't even imagine. You've got heat that doesn't need tending, food that doesn't need rationing, a roof that doesn't creak under the weight of snow. But here's the thing. Somewhere in your family tree way back, there's someone like Eliza, someone who survived a winter they weren't sure they'd make it through, someone who lit a candle or carved an ornament or made a gift with their own hands because that's all they had to give. That's in you now, whether you know it or not. The cabin in Ohio is long gone, rotted back into the earth. The tree, the ornaments, the blankets they huddled under, all of it, gone. Even Sarah's candle, the one she brought all the way from Ireland in her heart, if not her hands, gone. But not really, not completely, because you're here, listening to this story, thinking about a family you never knew, in a time you never lived, and something in you recognizes them. Something in you knows that fire and warmth and the people you love, that's what it all comes down to. That's what it's always been about. So here you are, end of the story, end of Christmas Eve in 1843. Close your eyes if they're not closed already. Feel your bed, your actual bed, the one you're in right now. Feel how soft it is, how warm. Think about how Eliza would have given anything for a bed like yours, a night like yours, this kind of safety. You've got it, you're living it, and somewhere, somehow, Eliza is part of the reason why. Her and a million others like her. All those people who survived the hard winters so their kids could have it a little easier. And their kids after that. All the way down to you. The fire goes out. It always does, but the warmth remains. Sleep now. You've earned it. Maybe not the way Eliza earned it, fighting through blizzards and wolves and all the rest. But you're here. You made it through another day, and tomorrow you'll wake up and do it again. That's all any of us are doing, really.